Good evening. I'd like to call to order the meeting of the Common Council for Tuesday, March 7th. If you could all please press your aye and confirm button. What did I do with my water? What did I do with my water? I brought it in here. Go ahead.
11 are present, Your Honor. Alderman Bill Galvin is excused.
Okay. All right, with that, we have a quorum. We'll proceed. If you'd all please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance and then remain standing for the invocation. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Heavenly Father, tonight we as a city council gather to lift the lives of those who call Green Bay home. We ask for your help in making decisions to help our fellow neighbors. We pray for wisdom, for patience, and for compassion as we work together to build a better community. Today we lost a true leader of Green Bay with the passing of Phil Henriksen. Our community was blessed to have the leadership and philanthropy of Phil, and we are grateful for his job creation and support of education in our city. Bless all those who work to make Green Bay a special place. And coming up this March 17th, we ask your special blessing on all the Irish and all of us who wish we were. As always, we ask you to watch over our military personnel, especially those serving on the USS Green Bay. We ask this in your name. Amen. All right, with that, we'll proceed. What are your wishes regarding the approval of the minutes of February 20th? There's a motion by Alderman Nicholson, seconded by Alderman Tom Dwayne. Anything you want to change here? Seeing no lights, all in favor of that motion, please signify by saying aye. Aye. And those opposed, nays. The ayes have it, and the minutes of the February 20th meeting have been approved. We're now on to approval of the agenda. It's a motion by Alderman Scannell, second by Alderman Nicholson to approve the agenda. Yep. All right, so there's a motion by Alderman Scannell, seconded by Alderman Joe Moore to move the report of the Protection and Welfare Committee up to the first action for report for council action. Anybody want to discuss that? All in favor of that motion, please signify by saying aye. Aye. And those opposed, nays. Ayes have it. The item 8 is moved up to number 1. There's a motion by Alderman Moore, second by Alderman Scannell, to approve the agenda as amended. All in favor of that motion, please signify by saying aye. Aye. And those opposed, nays. The ayes have it, and the agenda as amended has been approved.
Report by the mayor.
Okay, just 2 things. This Saturday, right, we're celebrating St. Patrick's Day in the city. 2 things are going on. The Da Vinci Run, which is the gifted, talented school here in downtown Green Bay. They put on the Pie Run. That starts at 8 o'clock. I know some of you ran that last year. That's at 8. I told those kids I'd mention that. It's put on by the 5th graders. They have 600 registered people already, and I know that runs through your neighborhood. So, and then secondly, the St. Patrick's Day celebration parade. That's at 10:30. We'll meet down at the city deck, proceed to St. Brendan's, and then there'll be an event there at 11 o'clock. So I hope to see you this weekend. That would conclude my report.
We're on to announcements.
Anybody have any announcements? Alderman Mark Stoyer.
Thank you, Your Honor. This is for an event in a couple months, but it's called the Great Strides Cystic Fibrosis Foundation. They will have a 5K walk at Green Isle Park on Saturday, May 6th. 2017, starting at 10 a.m. Check-in is at 9. Be part of a sponsor team or as an individual sponsor as we aim for a cure for CF. The website is www.cff.org/Great Strides, and I have brochures and such if anybody's interested, and I plan on being a part of that.
All right, thank you. Well, then Alderman Randy Scannell.
Thank you, Your Honor. I just also like to announce that this Sunday, the St. Baldrick's fundraiser at St. Brendan's Inn, the 13th Annual Children's Cancer Research Benefit. It's from 11 a.m. to 4, And if anyone will donate, Facebook me, call me, email me, and I'll shave my head. So. There you go.
What about your face?
Yeah. What
Your
about the
face.
beard? I mean, that's where you can make the money.
I'll go the whole head.
Okay. All right. All right, clerk, I didn't see any other announcements.
We're on to public hearings.
Alderman Zima? Announcements?
Thank you, Your Honor. I just wonder if Mr. Scale might want to reconsider. I wasn't thinking, when to move protection and welfare come up, and I thought, well, maybe there was, but that's the big item here tonight. Are we going to make everybody else wait for something that might go on for quite a while? I just wonder if he'd reconsider that.
Well, okay, go ahead, Alderman Scannell.
I appreciate that, but the reason I made the motion is there are a lot of people from out of town, and they'd like to get back home tonight, so I think the sooner we can wrap it up, the better. So that's the main reason I went for that.
Okay.
For that reason. So thank you.
All right, clerk, go ahead.
Well, just that the other things, Your Honor, are not controversial, and probably we'd go through it fairly quickly. And if there's people going to have to sit here maybe 2, 3, 4 hours, who knows?
Yeah. Again, we amended the agenda, it was approved by everyone, so we're just going to continue. Okay,
We're on to
Chris?
public hearing, zoning ordinance number 1-17, an ordinance rezoning property located at 1901 Verlin Road from Business Park District to Light Industrial District, and planning ordinance number 2-17, an ordinance amending the official map of the city to the ADP 146 Raccoon Berry Way.
Is there anyone here in the audience tonight who'd like to speak to either of these two public hearings, the zoning ordinance 1-17 or planning ordinance -217? Anyone want to speak to either one of these? Is there anyone wishing to be heard? All right, and we'll let the record show no one came forward.
You may, under suspension of the rules, take up items 17 and 18 with a roll call vote.
To suspend.
All right, there's a motion by Alderman Scannell, second by Alderman Weary to suspend the rules for that purpose. All in favor of suspension, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And those opposed, nays. The ayes have it, the rules are suspended. A motion to adopt. Motion to adopt by Alderman Nicholson, seconded by Alderman Scannell. If you'd please use the board, this is zoning ordinance 117, planning ordinance 217. Okay, and that passes unanimously. Thank you.
We're on to reappointment, Traffic Commission, Matt Kuipers.
There's a motion by Alderman Nicholson, second by Alderman Slotnick to approve the reappointment of Matt Capers to our Traffic Commission. We had that. Any discussion here? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And those opposed, nays. Ayes have it, and that appointment has been reappointed. Thank you.
Referral of petitions and communications. On page 1 of your packet, you have all petitions and communications received by the clerk's office by noon on Thursday. We will now accept any late communications you may have.
We'll start with Alderman Tom Dwayne.
Thank you, Your Honor. This is for Department of Public Works and maybe your office, to have DNR do a presentation on new irrigation policies for home builders and other new construction.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Alderman Randy Scannell.
Thank you, Your Honor. This is to Public Arts, to coordinate missions of other committees regarding public art to avoid confusion and redundancies.
All right, thank you. Alderman Guy Zima.
Thank you, Your Honor. It's for the Traffic Commission. I'm requesting on behalf of constituents that they consider putting a yield sign at 8th and 14th Street.
Thank you. Chris, do you have any late communications?
No, I do not.
Okay, with that, I'll entertain a motion to refer all petitions and communications. The motion was made by Alderperson Dorff, seconded by Alderman Scannell. All in favor of that motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And those opposed, nays. The ayes have it. All petitions and communications have been referred.
Reports for council action. Report of the Protection and Welfare Committee.
And now, what are your wishes? Okay, there's a motion by Alderman Scannell, seconded by Alderman Dave Nenning, to approve the report of the Protection and Welfare Committee for the meeting held on Monday, February 27th. Are there any items in this report you wish to handle separately? Okay, hearing none others, all in favor of the remainder of that report, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And those opposed, nays. And what are your wishes regarding item 6?
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve by Alderman Moore, second by Alderperson Dorf. Alderman Scannell.
There's a lot of people here to speak. Why don't we just open up the floor right away?
All right, so there's a motion by Alderman Scannell, second by Alderman Joe Moore to open the floor to hear from interested parties. All in favor of that motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And those opposed, nay. So, for those of you who are here regarding the report of the Protection and Welfare Committee, we are now discussing item 6. And item 6 is to receive and place on file the request by Brenda Stoudemire to rescind the resolution authorizing fluoride chemicals in public drinking water. I know a number of you have emailed me, and I had talked to, I know Celestine had talked to 2 of you that wanted to make more detailed presentations, and I thought if we would have them each give a presentation of about 20 minutes, and then if we could hear, if anyone else wants to comment, thought we would hold those comments to 2 or 3 minutes. So, are you Dr. John? Yes, sir. Okay. It's nice to meet you. Right, and then, Dr. John, you will be followed by Brenda,
Okay,
and then the council will take it from there, okay?
very well. Johnny Johnson, pediatric dentist, 3072 Windridge Oaks Drive in Palm Harbor, Florida. I am the president of the American Fluoridation Society, and I wanted to address the Common Council and the mayor tonight on the issue of water fluoridation. And I'm very thrilled that you all have had it here in the city since 1957. I commend you. My home county in Florida stopped to 700,000 people back in 2011 based on politics. Unfortunately, after a year's worth of work by me because of my background in fluoride research and my master's work in infant formula and fluorides, it turned out to be a political issue that the silent public voted out 3 of the 4 that voted against water fluoridation, and we had it back 15 months later. So I'm here to help discuss the science behind fluoridation, the credible information, and that which gets spread around, and basically a lot of misinformation. So without further ado, I do want to say that I have no financial disclosures to give. I am paid nothing. I accept nothing for going around speaking on behalf of water fluoridation in this country. I am only given money to fly and to have a hotel and a Subway sandwich for dinner, and that's all I get. I don't take a penny for it. This is my time in life to give back. I practiced pediatric dentistry as a resident, as a private practitioner for 30 years. I have 2 daughters, grown daughters, who were beneficiaries of fluoridated water, and I'm very proud to say I wouldn't give my children something that I wouldn't give everyone else's children. Community water fluoridation is something.
Excuse me, Doc, did you want a presentation
Oh,
up
yes,
here? Because
sir.
I don't have anything queued up. So hang on, if you,
Okay.
go ahead, clerk, please.
I can see it. It's not open.
All right, there you go.
Good? Okay.
Yeah.
Community water fluoridation is a phenomena that we actually discovered, like in most scientific circles, back in, by accident in the early 1900s, which is a story that I could get into more so if you want to hear it, but time's short. Fluoride is a mineral that's naturally existing in all water in the world, as well as the soil and the air. Seawater. Seawater has fluoride levels at 1.4 parts per million, which is twice what you put into your water here to help prevent cavities. Grand Rapids, Michigan was one of the first cities to adjust fluoride back in 1945 to a level which had been shown to prevent cavities at least 50 to 60% of cavities because it was naturally seen in other areas around the country that 1 milligram per liter adjustment had stopped that much. It was a 20-year study, and it was completed. Some cities like Muskogee decided as a control city after about a year, hey, we see the cavity drops that are happening in Grand Rapids. We don't want to sit around and wait. We want the same thing. It had been studied, very healthy issues, no health issues whatsoever with fluoride from the time we found about it in 1901 until the time it began in 1945. It was a natural phenomena that which we actually found out by accident. But in 2017 was the 72nd anniversary of water fluoridation. What water fluoridation is simply just adjusting the amount of background water that you have background fluoride that you have in your water, like Michigan, correct? Yes. Your source water is Lake Michigan, has 0.1 to 0.12 parts per million of fluoride in it naturally. So 0.7 parts per million is considered ideal and optimal to help reduce at least 25% of cavities in everyone. Every one of us in here, children and adults, and it really benefits adults more than children because we are adults longer than we are children. We tend to get gum recession and roots exposed, and we get cavities very easily on those, and that's why a lot of us lose teeth as adults. So you add a little bit to what's already in your water, and you kick it up to 0.7, and then you have optimally fluoridated water. The health benefits of water fluoridation, it reduces cavities for everybody, all of us, no matter what age, race, ethnicity, socioeconomic status, level of education, or access to going to the dentist. You still got to brush your teeth. You got to floss. You got to get checkups if you can. You got to get sealants on your teeth, on the permanent molars, and you got to eat well. It's the closest thing to a magic bullet that we have, but we cannot look at fluoridated water as the only method to stop cavities. We wish we had a vaccine against it, but we cannot develop one for some reason. Why do cavities matter? Cavities are the most common chronic disease of childhood. It is 5 times more common than asthma and 20 times more common than obesity. We do not hear that all the time, but that is a fact. That is a fact around the world. It is an infectious disease, it's transmissible, and it is a disease process like any other that we want to get rid of. Yes, we will make less money as dentists, but do you think physicians were upset when smallpox was eradicated? No. We don't make money by fixing things. We want to help put a prevention service in effect that helps to get rid of a disease process. This young lady on the top left actually is close to getting a brain abscess. I've seen these kids in my practice. She has her eye is swelling. It's a permanent molar that's infected on her upper left, and there's about that much distance between where that infection is in her brain, and it does develop into a retrograde infection that she had massive antibiotics to help bring that down. She was able to be saved. The 2 people on the right, the top gentleman, just a couple of weeks back, he's a truck driver, and he expired. He died from a brain abscess, from an abscessed tooth. The young man below him, these are just 2 people out of many that happen every year. He died also from a brain abscess, from an abscessed molar. So these things occur, and they occur way too often in this country. Preventing tooth decay also is a positive for helping people to learn and earn. When you're not in pain, you can stay on the job. When you're not in dental pain, you can stay in school. You can focus. You make better grades. With children that have poor oral health, they're nearly 3 times more likely to be absent from school. And with the poor oral health, they are 4 times more likely to earn lower grades, which means outcomes of not finishing school maybe, getting as good at jobs. And as an employer, I will tell you this NBC story that ran in 2013. It showed that the consequences for adults who have missing or unhealthy teeth, that unfortunately, we don't want to hire them because they are an extension of our workplace. I have a friend who's a NTSB pilot, and he has a good friend that flies jets. The gentleman's missing a front tooth. No major airline will hire the gentleman, and that is the fact of nature, fact of the business, that people make an instant judgment based on teeth. And you do have more missing teeth and front teeth and back ones when you do not have fluoride in the water at appropriate levels. Cavities are disproportionately distributed. The majority of cavities occur in 20 to 30% of the population. The disadvantaged bear a disproportionate burden of these cavities. And this is an example of people who live in non-fluoridated areas, and the child on the bottom, on your right side, that very last molar, that pink thing growing, that's the nerve of the tooth growing out trying to fight off the infection. Very sad situation. Water fluoridation is still necessary in this day and age. Systematic reviews, which are reviews of scientific literature that have been reviewed by groups, then you have major organizations, major scientific groups that get together and do what's called a systematic review, when they look at all of them to find out what the best available evidence is showing. The effect of starting community water fluoridation gives an average of 29.1% cavity reductions. A new study that was just started in New South Wales, Australia, confirms this, and I think they are in the 40 to 50% cavity reductions in their program. The effect of stopping fluoridated water, at least a 17.9% jump in cavities, and after 5 years, typically you're right back where you started with, where the cavities were before you started fluoridating. And I will tell you that right now, Calgary, Canada, Ontario, Canada, stopped fluoridating in 2011. Their cavity rates have skyrocketed. They climbed at least 71% from the time they stopped compared to Edmonton, Canada. And now it is unbelievable. They are getting ready to refluoridate. There's a push there to refluoridate the community. Very few communities have ever stopped for any length of time. My county was 15 months, not long enough to actually start to see a lot of cavity issues. When you do what Calgary's done in this day and time, we're going to find out there are huge cavities that dentists are seeing and abscess teeth, and it's a very bad shame. The old adage that an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure, community water fluoridation falls into that same category. The CDC has called fluoridation one of 10 great public health achievements of the 20th century, right alongside of seat belts and vaccinations, healthier babies and moms. Cavities are reduced by 25% as a minimum for adults and children, above and beyond those that are already reduced by fluoridated toothpaste, fluoride rinses, and any other fluoride products that you use. So doing all the things you do, you add fluoridated water to a community, you drop cavities by at least another 25%. As of 2014 statistics, over 211 million residents in the United States, that's almost 3/4 of the people who are on community water systems are on fluoridated water. It helps ever since 1945, every group growing up has maintained their teeth for a longer period of time into adulthood, and now dentures are becoming more and more scarce. Thank God. It also saves millions of dollars for our healthcare systems, for our taxpayers, and for us by not spending a lot of money on dental care and needless pain and suffering and tooth loss. How does fluoride work? Fluoride works in two ways, and you have heard this, that it works topically. It works topically by coating the outside surface of the tooth when the tooth is in the mouth, like toothpaste. Fluoride rinses helps to get on the enamel and helps to form an enamel surface that is harder and more resistant to cavity, to acid attack, to become a cavity. But there's also a systemic effect from fluoridated water. The systemic effect is when a person drinks fluoridated water, it gets into their stomach, gets into their bloodstream, and for children who are developing their teeth under their gums, it helps to get into that tooth, and it helps it to form harder from the inside out. So you've got a double whammy. You've got a tooth that's harder from the inside out, and then saliva from the fluoride that they've swallowed. Saliva has a very low content of fluoride that comes out and bathes the teeth 24 hours a day. And so that's a topical effect from a systemic fluoride. Both are needed. Both are needed. One does not replace the other. Both are complementary. There are no alternatives to water fluoridation. Water fluoridation, as I said, works to reduce cavities by 25%. It's the closest thing to a magic bullet that we have. Fluoride toothpaste and fluoride topical products are not a replacement. They're an adjunct. Some have suggested that we give supplements, fluoride supplements to families. I will tell you that studies have been done. If you get 30% compliance, and that's true with any medication, if you ask your physician, what is the compliance with an antibiotic? 30% people take appropriately, and which is a shame, but it's the fact. So it's terrible compliance, and it is not an alternative. What health risks are there with fluoridation? None. The experts and systematic reviews, and this is straight from the CDC, are all in agreement that the evidence does not support an association between water fluoridation and any adverse health effect or systemic disorder. Not one. Scientific reviews, again, look at all of the studies that have been out there and draw common conclusions, so for a consensus of what all of the literature is showing. And I'm going to run through two of the groups on this one, and I can certainly speak to any other there that you'd like to. One group is called the Community Preventive Services Task Force, which you may or may not be familiar with. It's a panel of unpaid experts that was appointed by Congress in 1996 to evaluate scientific evidence on health issues facing communities. They are tasked with very, very large numbers of health issues, but on the issue of water fluoridation in 2014 and again in 2004, and again in 2013, they recommended fluoridation, water fluoridation, based on strong evidence of effectiveness in reducing cavities across an entire population, and that the evidence shows that the prevalence of cavities is substantially lower in communities with community water fluoridation. The other group, which you have heard a lot about, this big book, the 2006 National Research Council that reviewed the EPA standard of how much fluoride is allowable in our water before health issues begin to show up. And it has been historically set at 4 milligrams per liter, 4 parts per million. The opposition likes to call this their Bible, and I really think they should call it their Bible because it answers every question that they say can happen with fluoride, but that is not what the group found out. A maximum contaminant level goal is a number which is how much can you have of a certain item in water, whether it's iron, copper, fluoride, any item in water. And that level is set to, the definition is, it is a health goal set at a concentration at which no adverse health effects are expected to occur and the margins of safety are adequate. Okay, so for fluoride, it's 4 milligrams per liter. There's about 200,000 people in the U.S. that live in areas where there's high concentrations of fluoride in the water naturally. So our government spent $4 million on this study to make sure those people were okay to drink fluoride at 4 milligrams per liter and not at 5.9 to 16 parts per million. What they looked at after 3.5 years of studies, 3.5 years of arguments in this huge group, top experts in the world, 12 of them, 3 of them the anti-fluoridationists, which if you've seen in one of the movies that's out, Professional Perspectives, there's Hardy Lineback, Dr. Isaacson, and Kathleen Thiessen in that Perspectives movie that are giving their own personal opinions, not what they voted on in this group. This group found that the only health effect from fluoride at 4 milligrams per liter, which is 6 times higher than what you have in your water, that there is only an effect on the enamel of the teeth. There were no musculoskeletal effects, no thyroid issues, no cancer, no neurotoxicity, nothing else, no other health issues, IQ, or anything else. So only in the color of the enamel was an issue. At 4 parts per million, again, they said the only health issue is severe fluorosis. Severe fluorosis is this picture on the right. It is a brown, yellowish pitting and staining of the teeth. That happens at 4 milligrams per liter. Their evaluations looked further back, and they said, well, at 2 milligrams per liter, that it virtually is 0. So it goes away at 2 milligrams per liter. And once again, you're fluoridating at 0.7 parts per million, which is 1/3 of that at which severe fluorosis is 0. So we're kind of talking about fluorosis as the only issue. Sorry, I thought I heard something. We're talking about fluorosis, so let me just kind of go into fluorosis real quick because we don't have any health issues at all below 2 milligrams per liter. None. This book says it. Everybody on that panel signed off on it, including Lineback, Isaacson, and Thiessen. Every one of them signed off on it, that is what they found. So dental fluorosis is the only thing. And what it is a change in the appearance of the enamel of the tooth. It does not change the function of the tooth. Very mild and mild forms of fluorosis are the most common types, and what those look like, and we as dentists and hygienists and professionals can see it when we dry the teeth off, the little tiny white specks, and you have to look at it under a bright light. You'll see it walking down the street. 4 out of 10 people supposedly have it. If you see it, you have great eyes. You see it, but you don't even notice it because it's not visible without drying the teeth off and in good light. Moderate form of fluorosis is where you have larger white spots on the teeth, and I'll show you pictures of this in just a minute. And in the rare severe form, like I showed you, are yellow-brown discolorations and rough pitted enamel. Now, a fact is, this only occurs in children while their teeth are developing into the gums. That's when that systemic fluoride is getting into the teeth. After age 8, when those teeth are developed, this cannot occur. It does not happen in adults, only.
Yeah, you say you got about 5 minutes left, so
Okay.
thank you.
I'll speed it up. Okay, so here we have the CDC pictures of what fluorosis looks like. The two, very mild and mild, are the ones that are due to water fluoridation, that you can say come from it. Now, you can see most of that flashing is the flash on the camera. The mild has a little white, what they call snow cap on the edge of it. Moderate in the middle does not occur from water fluoridation. It occurs from improper swallowing of toothpaste and other fluoride products. And the severe fluorosis does not occur. Again, which would be your choice? On the left, unfluoridated community. On the right side, little white spots that you can't hardly see at all. Evidence of the science, the weight, is that no widely respected medical and health organization in the world opposes fluoridation, and again, no adverse health effects occur from drinking water fluoridation. A list of people who most of you got, or should have gotten letters from a lot of these folks supporting water fluoridation. Since the science is clear who opposes it, well, there are some people that really believe it causes health issues, and my heart goes out to them, because I can't say to them, in anyone, in 100%, nothing's going to happen to you. But the science does not bear that out. The Fluoride Action Network, Brenda, who's a part of that group, is here. They oppose it for reasons unknown, and the biggest thing that we see is a conspiracy theory approach with it. I'm going to leave this as one of my last slides to show you all of the claims that are more commonly made by the opponents, and they're false. I will leave that up as the last thing. One of the big ones I wanted to hit are the EPA denial of the opponent's petition to end water fluoridation in the United States, which wipes out all of the issues they've been saying for years. After careful consideration, the EPA denied the petition for the reasons discussed in the document, and those were that they did not set forth a scientifically defensible basis to conclude that any persons have suffered neurotoxic harm, IQ loss of points. They didn't establish that fluoridation chemicals present an unreasonable risk of injury to health or the environment, and they did not establish that a margin of safety is inadequate. In response to thyroid issues, a fan person in Brooksville, Florida, was testifying that it caused thyroid problems. Janet Silverstein's the top pediatric endocrinologist in the country, and she responded by saying, as a practicing endocrinologist, I was appalled at the claims that fluoridated drinking water causes significant harm to the endocrine system. So she stepped up as a physician and said, enough is enough. Toothpaste is claimed to contain poison fluoride poison. To this day, no one has ever died from fluoridated toothpaste. No one. You get an upset stomach if you swallow it. The only reason there's a warning on the back of it is that the Food and Drug Administration requires it of toothpaste, vitamins, and many other sub-products. You can look at home when you go. In UK, they do not require that. It also says responsible parenting is required on the back of it, to watch your kids and make sure they're not swallowing it. Mass medication is claimed by the anti-fluoridation group. Fortification is a very common practice in this country. Folic acid, vitamin D, iodine, etc. are added to our foods to prevent diseases. U.S. courts have said over and over again that any challenge that's been brought against fluoride as being illegal or illegal or a challenge or a infringement upon rights, personal rights, civil rights, is not illegal. It is not illegal. And fluoridation, again, is the adjustment of your background amount of fluoride. Time's up. I want to thank you. I'll certainly take questions and answers, and I am going to leave that last slide up that I said from before, which each of these things on here, I'll be happy to talk till the cows come home, but I know you guys want to get home tonight, and please, guys and ladies, I am free to answer questions if you'd like.
Do you want to ask questions now, or do you want to hear the other presenter and then ask questions? It's your motion.
Asking now,
Yeah, I think ask him now, right after each presentation. That would.
Okay,
would-
then go ahead, Alderman
I do a
Scanlon.
question. Yep, yep. In Europe, they do, some of the countries do fluoridate milk and salt and so on.
Exactly.
I'm not sure how long that's been doing. Is there any study on the efficacy of that? Is that a way that we could possibly go? Not here, of course, it would take a larger body than ours to regulate that, but is that a possibility?
You cannot, well, okay, first thing is, they fluoridate their water as well, and they fluoridate some of their wells like you have around Green Bay, have natural. Bottled water has fluoride, by the way. Some can have twice as much as fluoride as is in your water. They don't have to put it on here. The Food and Drug Administration allows it with proper labeling. This is from the tap outside. I filled it because I wanted fluoridated water. Poured the other out. But in Europe, they have natural fluoridation in a lot of the wells. They have poor infrastructure, so where they have this whole poor infrastructure where they can't, like we do in this country, distribute water to a whole community equally, they will use salt fluoridation or fluoridated milk and sometimes supplements, fluoride supplements. It works, but it does not work as well as a constant bathing of your teeth with fluoridated water coming out in the saliva. It is a bolus at one time, and it assumes that you're sprinkling the same amount of salt, fluoride, and fluoridated salt on your foods. There's as much fluoridated salt practiced in the world as there is fluoridated water. When you hear that 97% of Europe does not use fluoridated water, well, they never explain to you that they use fluoridated salt and fluoridated milk instead. So there is a huge amount of countries, and Israel is one that was said that they got it ruled out. Yael Hermine did when she was the health minister, and it was strictly a political move. And the new health minister has his back in, and we have helped provide them with information on studies, and they have gotten it voted back in. The Knesset voted 11-3 to refluoridate the country. It is never over science. It is always political, sadly, because it's a local decision. Did it answer that well enough?
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else? I'm not seeing any other lights.
I am.
Okay, all right, Alderman Stoyer.
Thank you, Your Honor. Thank you, Doctor, for coming in.
Thank you, sir.
A few questions. We've read a lot on both sides of the issue here.
Yes, sir.
So do we need fluoridation if fluoride exists in other products like toothpaste and mouthwashes? I mean, there's a lot of, I think years ago, there weren't those products available. Now we have a lot of products, including soda, processed foods, and things like that have
Correct.
fluoride in them. So I guess the question I have is, do we really need, what's the prognosis for having fluoridation if we already have it in a lot of these other products?
Good question. I'm glad you asked that. I watched your video from last Friday's meeting of the health, I forget the name. Thank you, sir. Thank you. One of the items which they showed was a graph by the World Health Organization, which showed that fluoride in all countries was going down at the same rate as it was in fluoridated countries. And that was a fabricated graph. What happens is that it started about the time that toothpaste was implemented, around 1980, and it began widespread use in the U.S. and around the world. So what that showed is that fluoride was helping cavities to come down. What it did not show was that when you add fluoridated water on top of all those items, the cavities were a 25% drop beyond that. What you're talking about is back in 1945, when we did not have the fluoridated products produced in areas like the sodas and the juices and foods and beer and wine, things that I enjoy too. We did not have those produced, so the cavity reductions were in the 60% range back in the beginning in 1945. As time has gone on, we have what's called the halo effect, which is what you're saying, foods and products that are produced in areas where fluoride's in the water. So that bleeds over into your area as well. Well, you have fluoridated water, but it will bleed into other communities. So the reduction is not really 60 to 70% as it used to be. It's in the 25% range. If you don't have fluoridated water and you're just eating the foods and drinking the products that are made with fluoridated water, your cavity rates are going to skyrocket back up to what they were before you started fluoridating the water. When you fluoridate it, you drop them another 25%. So they do work hand in hand. You do need toothpaste, you do need the diet with fluoride in it, and the fluoridated water just going up to 0.7 parts per million drops it another 25% in cavities. It all works together. Yes, sir. Good question.
That's all I have.
Thank you.
Okay, anyone else, questions? All right, thank you, Doctor. You're
Thank you
gonna
very
stick
much.
around in case they think of some questions later.
Absolutely.
All right,
Thank you
and
for
with
that.
that, if, Brenda, I know Celestine talked with you as well about a 20-minute presentation. If you could approach the podium now, and do you need anything queued up? Okay.
How you doing? Good, fine, thanks. Thank you, too.
Okay, so this.
Wait, I don't think there's one that fits. One that fits in here? That's the newer Apple. This one typically plugs into the normal.
Where's the turkey here?
Here, it'll plug into this. Is this all plugged in now?
Brenda, I'm not, hang on.
Is this thing powered on? Because there's no light. Does that need a light?
Let's take a 5.
What did they use? What did they use in the?
Let me try unplugging it and plugging it back in.
All right, we're good.
Got it, Mayor?
Yep, hang on. Can you go full screen? 'Cause-
Hang on, I need to unplug it again because it just did something wonky.
Okay, it works. We just reboot that. We'll be all right.
Does that work?
Yes, ma'am. All right, go ahead.
Okay, so I saw yesterday in the Press Gazette, it said that it made it sound like we were lobbyists that were here. I'm not a lobbyist. I'm not paid to do this. I'm a student. I go to school for environmental engineering, and my focus is on drinking water and wastewater quality. Let's see. So in 1957, Green Bay started putting fluoride in the drinking water. The mayor at the time said it was poison. He was very against this practice. The media said that Green Bay children had awesome teeth, so they weren't afraid of fluoride being put in the water. In 2016, Green Bay spent about $120 a day adding fluoride chemicals to our water. This is about 508 pounds a day. This substance does not occur anywhere in nature. It's not natural. Like Johnny Johnson said, it was natural. The hydrofluosilicic acid, the only place that it occurs is as a waste product in the fertilizer smokestack scrubbers. These are the hazmat, the sorry, it's the suits that you're supposed to wear at the water utility. If you're not wearing these suits, you're not being safe, because the fumes are very, very corrosive. Fluoride needs its own room. It cannot be by the other chemicals in the water treatment facility. The chemicals are so corrosive, they will eat away the electrical wires. They will eat through manholes on the floor. There has to be a poly over the cement because it'll eat through the cement. Yet it's completely okay for us to ingest every day from the moment we're born until we die? I don't think so. It is diluted, but it's not a pharmaceutical grade substance that they're using. It's never been approved by the FDA to prevent tooth decay from swallowing it. Fluoride is actually more toxic than lead. This is a LD50. It's 50% of the population that is killed. It's a little less toxic than arsenic. This is where it comes from. I'm not going to read this whole slide, but it's a waste product that comes out of these chimneys. And it is NSF certified. According to NSF, 50% of the batches have arsenic in it. I looked it up. Phyllis Molnock did a study in 2014 on these chemicals, and she found that they had arsenic in addition to lead, and they all contained arsenic. And she said such contaminant content creates a regulatory blind spot that jeopardizes any safe use of fluoride additives. So the marketers say that there's all these organizations that promote fluoride. Well, there's also a lot that are against fluoride. Most environmental groups are against fluoride. The International Chiropractors Association's against fluoride. The Holistic Dental Association, the League of United Latin American Citizens. Also, many of the NAACP groups from around the country are against fluoride because it disproportionately harms Blacks and Hispanics with higher incidence of dental fluorosis. But these populations also have a tendency of having higher rates of diabetes and kidney disorders. The International Academy of Oral Medicine and Toxicology is against it, the American Academy of Environmental Medicine, the Environmental Working Group, Organic Consumers Association, and Food and Water Watch, and also locally Clean Water Action Council of Northeast Wisconsin. I think you guys have a position that you received in your mailboxes. So the Sierra Club says that they support the rejection of water fluoridation to protect sensitive populations, and because safer strategies and methods for preventing tooth decay are now available. They recommend that the safer alternatives be made available and promoted. And they also say that the fluorosilicic acid compounds should not be used because of the contamination with heavy metals such as lead and arsenic. Ken Cook, the head of the Environmental Working Group, says fluoridation has serious risks that far outweigh any minor benefits. The International Chiropractors Association says it's a mass medication. It's not proven to be safe or without possible harm. And it deprives the rights of citizens to be free from unwelcome mass medication. Fluoride toxicology, it says that if you're overexposed to fluoride, you can expect to see gastrointestinal disorders, neurological disorders, and cardiovascular effects. I think, we can look anywhere at the top selling pharmaceuticals in this country and find, arthritis medications, neurological ADHD medication, behavioral medication, and stuff like that. I did that. So fluoridation, according to the League of United American Citizens, they represent the Hispanic and Latin community in the United States. They say it's a mass medication. It poses increased risk to the sensitive subpopulations, including infants, elderly, diabetics, kidney patients, people with poor nutritional status, and minority communities. The EPA Union of Scientists in 1999 said that they oppose drinking water fluoridation and it lacks the benefit of dental health from ingestion. And the hazards to human health from ingestion include acute toxic hazard, hazards for people with impaired kidney function, as well as chronic toxic hazards of gene mutations, cancer, reproductive effects, neurotoxicity, bone pathology, and dental fluorosis. In 2015, Cochrane Reviews did a study or a review on fluoride, and they found that there really wasn't any evidence showing that it reduced tooth decay in permanent teeth, and it didn't reduce cavities in baby teeth at any statistically significant rate. They were actually shocked at the amount of lack of evidence to support this program. Johnny Johnson brought up the Calgary study. That study that he was talking about, it omitted key data. It showed that most of the dental decay actually occurred when they were still fluoridating the community. Let's see. So some European countries do fluoridate their salt. The countries in the yellow are the ones that use the fluoridation, but as you can see, there's lots of them that don't. So these are the countries that fluoridate their water: New Zealand, Australia, Ireland, and the United States, and tooth decay has been declining. And then this is the countries that do not use fluoridated salt or water, and their tooth decay rates are declining. And then when you put them all together, all the decay rates are declining. The CDC says fluoridation is a top 10 public health achievement due to the great decline in dental decay. But they're using data from 1967 and 1990, I forget off the top of my head, and they found that they're claiming that as fluoridated water went from 40 to 57% of the population, there was a 70% reduction in tooth decay, and they award water fluoridation to this. But they're ignoring that we have better dental care, dental sealants, we brush our teeth. What they fail to look at is the data that goes all the way back to the 1930s that shows tooth decay has been declining. If you look on the chart, the arrows between the red is what the CDC claims as their top 10 public health achievement, because tooth decay declined during that time. But if you back up, it was declining all along. Oregon only fluoridates 19% of their population. Washington fluoridates 59%. The tooth decay rates are actually better or higher in Washington compared to Oregon. The dental care is actually more expensive in Washington, where they have more fluoridation. And the people actually make more money, and let's see. And there was actually more people with excellent teeth in Oregon, where they had less fluoridation in their water. This is from New York State. It is a chart that plots, that blue line is the fluoridated water going up. And the purple is, on the bottom is all of the counties, but the purple is all the tooth decay rates. And as you can see, it doesn't really matter who has fluoride and who doesn't. The tooth decay rates are all over the board. There's good tooth decay in, non-fluoridated and fluoridated, and it goes back and forth. Once you look at the data from, far away, you can see, depending where these promoters cherry pick their data, they can show fluoride works in a fluoridated community than a non, but if you look at it, all the data, it just doesn't paint the same picture. Fluoridation is actually, cavities are more of an issue of socioeconomics. Poor children have higher tooth decay rates than the rich kids. The rich kids had the blue line in that chart, and the red is for the lower socioeconomics. These are just communities in Wisconsin that reduced or stopped putting fluoride in their drinking water. The SDS sheet is the safety data sheet that comes with the substance that they dump in our water. It says that asthma is a symptom of being inhaled, or when the fluoride is inhaled. Well, 1 in 5 people, or 1 person dies every 5 days in Wisconsin from asthma. Is anybody looking to see what the fluoride levels are of these people? I guarantee they don't. The 2006 National Research Council found that these were the risk of health. Johnny Johnson said that these didn't exist, but we had some of those researchers from that study look over this list and confirm it. And the concerns were for bone cancer, fractured bones, higher incidence of hip fractures in fluoridated communities, brain damage, which looks like learning disabilities in children. Our learning disabilities in Green Bay are crazy. You know, all the special education classes are increasing in size. So the poor people are hurt the most by fluoride. They have higher incidence of fluorosis. They also don't have access to a lot of nutrients a lot of times, and they have nutritional deficiencies. So they're more harmed because fluoride is a poison. Let's see. Fluoride is not a nutrient. The last speaker said that fluoride was like vitamin D. There is no function in the human body that needs fluoride. You will not get a disease from a lack of it. If you don't have vitamin D, you will be sick, or folic acid, or other things. But fluoride, it's nothing but a poison. So the fluoride budget went up to almost $50,000 for this year. I think that money could be better spent on feeding the kids better food in school and having gardens. In New Jersey, this year, the mayor said that they were proud to end their mass medication in the water. There is a water utility in Maine that discontinued the fluoridation program. They said it's about unintended consequences, ethics, mass medication without a sensible dosage, methodology, and about the safety of the district's customers and its employees. This community in New York stopped fluoridating the drinking water, and one of their water utility guys said that he stopped drinking it a bunch of years ago because he noticed that he got all achy. And I noticed that too. When I forget my water that doesn't have fluoride in it, and I drink, like when I work all the weekend, and I drink the regular tap water, my wrists get really achy, and I waitress. So that's like if I don't drink the water though, I don't have achy arthritis in my wrist. That's just my own anecdotal piece. So your job is not to evaluate the science and pick a side, but to consider the ethics and economics of this policy. Emerging 21st century science is sufficient for us to seriously rethink our assumptions about fluoridation as a public health measure. The evidence that the adverse effects of fluoridation disproportionately affect non-white and low-income populations make fluoridation an environmental justice concern. The evidence that fluoridation increases the heavy metal contamination of drinking water by accelerating the destruction of municipality infrastructure and homeowners' plumbing, and consequently has an impact on the education costs is a great concern to our members. It is a duty to protect all citizens in a prudent and fiscally responsible manner. Those that do not feel the topical use of fluoride with fluoridated dental products are sufficient for their personal needs will continue to have options to buy fluoridated drinking water, while those who have reasons to avoid this chemical will be more secure in their homes and towns. That's all I have for you.
All right, thank you, Brenda. Hang on. Let me clap for her, not the other guy. All right, do you have any questions for this presenter? Let me get this.
I have a PowerPoint on mine by for someone else to show. Can I do that right away so I don't have to unplug my computer and stuff?
I think we talked to you on the phone quite a bit about 20 minutes of presentation from Dr. Johnny, 20 minutes from you, and then I'm going to have quite a few people that want to speak for a couple minutes.
Did you sign up?
You can make a comment for 2 minutes, but we're, yeah, pretty clear. Yes, you can leave
Okay.
it there. I need to clear this, though. Okay, Alderman Joe Moore.
Thanks, and thanks, Brenda. One of the things that you said that really kind of, I think, sticks out is you mentioned learning disabilities in Green Bay are off the charts, and I was just wondering what the correlation to that is with fluoride. What are we being compared to, and what is the data on that? This is the first time I've actually ever heard that.
Well, The learning disabilities are high all over the United States. Fluoride is a neurotoxin. It destroys our neurons.
Is there actually like science that says learning disabilities are high in Green Bay because of fluoride?
No. Because most of the United States is fluoridated also, so
Sure.
it's everywhere.
I understand. It's
But,
just, like I
you
said,
know,
that's one
on-
thing that just really kind of stuck out because it's,
Sure.
okay.
Alderman Nenny?
Thank you. Brenda, I was at a lot of the discussion of protection and welfare, but I missed some of it because I had other meetings that night. But in reading the minutes, there was some discussion about the petition that was filed with EPA, and there was a statement that you're going to be challenging that. And
Yes, we have 60 days to file in federal court, and we will be doing that.
you will be doing that. And do you have any idea what the timeline is for that process?
Just 60 days that we have
To
until we
file it, and then the court goes from there.
Yeah, our lawyers have been talking continuously about this and figuring all those details out.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Anyone else? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
So we have a number of you that wanted to comment on this. And if you want to speak to this, if you haven't already given a slip to the clerk, and I'll just call your name, and if you could just queue up, I think I'll call 2 or 3 of you at a time. So the first speaker is Carney, is it Stemsky, S-T-E-M, on Pinewood, and then Jenna Liddon and Robin Krooster. So if you could just approach the podium, make your comments, and if you keep them brief, we'd all appreciate that. Hi. You'd state your name and address then for the clerk.
I'm Carrie Stemsky at 2829 East Penwood Circle. I'm a practicing hygienist for 35 years, and I served as the executive director of the Oral Health Partnership for 10 years. And so I'm here to support water fluoridation because water fluoridation will hurt the poorest of the poor and those that do not have access to toothpaste, that do not have access to, to anything else fluoridated. Just to keep it really simple, I don't want to take a lot of time, but just so you understand a tooth, when you have a tooth, you can think of this as the tooth, it is constantly demineralizing and remineralizing. It's demineralizing from like pop, soda, candy, acid that's in your mouth, and it breaks apart. Those fluoride ions will actually fill those holes back up, and that's how it remineralizes. So that's why it is so important for us to have the remineralization all the time in our saliva, in our food, and whatever we can. And the calcium, that's another item that will also remineralize everything. So that's why it's so important for us to have the water fluoridation so that those of us, or those that cannot afford, other ways to fluoridate their teeth, like going to the dentist, can have the benefit of it. And all of us really need to have that on a daily basis every day, and that's why it's so important for us to have it in our saliva. So,
Thank you.
thank you.
Jenna, and then Robin?
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity to express my strong support of community water fluoridation. My name is Jenna Linden, and I'm the current clinical director at Brown County Oral Health Partnership. If you're not aware of who we are, we're a nonprofit dental program here in Green Bay serving underinsured and state-insured children with the mission of changing the lives of our community's children through access to excellent oral health services and education. We served over 9,000 children this past year, 2016. So each and every day I see how oral health or lack thereof can affect lives. Poor oral health leads to lack of sleep, issues with eating, issues with learning, growth, overall health and wellness is affected. I was just working as the hygienist at our school-based program last week, and I had the privilege of seeing children that have been in our program since preschool and now are 5th graders. So they've been seen 4, 5, 6, 7 years in our program, and their teeth are growing, their adult teeth are growing in healthy and cavity-free. They are free of pain and they're able to learn, and that is in part due to the community water fluoridation here in Green Bay. I don't think you can quite understand the gravity of tooth decay until you've seen firsthand, say, a 2-year-old in your dental chair with every tooth decayed down to the gum line and We can't even complete their care in the clinic. They have to be seen in the hospital under general anesthesia to get them back in a healthy state and to get the infection out of their bodies. Because there's definitely a dental or a systemic link between oral health in your entire body and the health of your body. Community water fluoridation is the only source of fluoride that reaches all members of our community, regardless of their age, their income level, their insurance status, etc. Without it, we'd be taking a monumental step backwards in the progress we've made in our community in striving for oral health. I also speak from the perspective of a mother of 3 young boys to which I would never give anything that could harm them. My kids drink tap water on a daily basis, and water fluoridation is safe and effective, as proven over the last 70 years in our country. The idea of byproducts was brought up. I want to just mention this, that when you think of byproducts aren't always a bad thing. For instance, leather is a byproduct of the cattle industry, right? Grapeseed oil of the wine industry, etc. So bear that in mind when you think of the word byproduct. Even more importantly, I can't guarantee that our patients will have compliance with brushing their teeth or eating the correct foods, or even honestly being brought to the dentist for appointments. But as I quote, the World Health Organization states, fluoridation is the single most important intervention to reduce dental tooth decay, not least because water is an essential part of the diet for everyone in the community, regardless of their motivation to maintain oral hygiene. And as you know, as humans, compliance isn't always our strong suit. So that's where fluoridation is a way of getting fluoride to everyone, regardless of that lack of compliance.
Right.
As mentioned earlier, there was a decline by the EPA of a petition filed by the fluoridation opponents. The response of the EPA over a 40-page document systematically explains the flaws and irrelevance and misrepresentation of these findings by the petitioners and the lack of substantial evidence. This has to hold weight in your decision tonight. So I hope you will rely on the sound and credible science as you consider your decision tonight. Thank you for hearing my concerns and the dental and health concerns about this issue overall. I'm hopeful we'll be able to continue to provide community water fluoridation to our citizens as a safe and effective way to decrease their risk for dental cavities and ultimately improve their lives.
Thank
That's all I
you.
have. Thank you.
All right, so we next have Robin Kruster, Marcus Vanderleest, Allison Hauser, and Michael Schwartz Oscar. Hi.
Hi, my name is Robin Kruster, and I'm the Fluoridation Program Coordinator with the Wisconsin Department of Health Services in the Division of Public Health. I work collaboratively with the Department of Health Services staff, including the State Dental Director, epidemiologists, and toxicologists on community water fluoridation, and we appreciate the opportunity to provide the council with this statement. The mission of the Wisconsin Department of Health Services is to protect and promote the health and safety of the people of Wisconsin. A key component in our effort to reduce the burden of oral disease is community water fluoridation. In Wisconsin, over 3.5 million people, or almost 90% of the population living on public water supplies, have fluoridated water. And in Brown County, 96.3% of the population on a public water supply has access to fluoridated water. After 70 years of research and practical experience, the preponderance of scientific evidence indicates that fluoridation of community water supplies is a safe, effective, and well-tested public health program. Everyone in Green Bay benefits from this public health measure, including children, adults, those with developmental disabilities, nursing home residents, people of all races and ethnicities, as well as those that have private dental insurance, those that have Medicaid, and those that are uninsured. The Wisconsin Department of Health Services, along with more than 100 national and international health, service, and professional organizations, supports community water fluoridation based on the overwhelming weight of peer-reviewed, credible scientific evidence. Thank you.
Thank you, Robin. All right, Marcus Vanderleest, Allison Hauser, and Michael Schwartz Oscar.
Good evening, members of the Common Council. Mayor, thank you for allowing me to speak for a few minutes. My name is Dr. Mark Vanderleest. I have a practice in Howard, Wisconsin, but I live here in Green Bay, Wisconsin at 2851 Antler Trail. And I know the people that have spoke done a wonderful job. There's not much that I can add to. I'm a very much a proponent of water fluoridation here in Green Bay. There's not much that I can add that they already haven't said, but as a member of the council, as you're looking to vote on this for fluoridation or against it, I would really urge you to think very carefully about this because of all the reasons and the fact that the cavities and the things we see are a disease process. And I know a lot of people have spoke today that maybe you're not familiar with personally. I would urge you as a member of the Brown Door Kewanee Dental Society, most of the dentists in our society are absolutely for water fluoridation in Green Bay, and maybe reach out to them and talk to them, somebody that you know on a personal level, and maybe pick their brain about it. If you have that opportunity or chance, maybe you're voting, are you voting tonight? So if you are, then that's not very, feasible to do. But as you make this decision, please don't take it lightly, because if it was my decision to fluoridate or not fluoridate, what I would look at is that one child that had a very, very serious systemic infection due to a tooth abscess. And we're talking about somebody that's 7, 8, 9, 10 years old. And if you ever had firsthand experience with that, taking the fluoride out of the water is probably something that you would really think about very strongly, or very hard, and have a real strong decision not to. So thank you for your time, and thank you for allowing me to speak.
Thank you, Doc. All right, we got Allison, and then Michael, Nancy, Rubley, and Matt Crespin. Hi.
Hi, my name is Oslin Hauser. I am a full-time nursing student and soon-to-be registered nurse. I have taken classes in biochemistry, human anatomy, and pharmacology, and I'm also a mother of one. And today I'm here to address you about the fluoridation in our drinking water. I will be reading I Like Children, which you all should have received in your mailbox today. Dentists told us that fluoridation was going to reduce cavities, but it doesn't seem to be working. A national study reported that there is a 42% increase in trips to the hospital emergency room for dental emergencies between 2000 and 2008. Most of the patients are low income and uninsured, and most of them are living in fluoridated communities. Dentists like to show us pictures of toddlers with bottle mouth and say that fluoride prevents that. They tell us that cavity rates are going to go up if we stop fluoridating. I don't think so. According to a 2000 study, when they stopped fluoridating in North Carolina for just 11 months, there was no change in cavity rate, but there was a marked decrease in dental fluorosis among preschoolers. Dental fluorosis is a permanent discoloring of the teeth. A 2001 study of 6,000 Canadian school children showed that 3 years after stopping fluoridation, the cavity rate had gone down in a community that stopped fluoridation while remaining the same in the fluoridated community. A 1998 study in Finland, 3 years after stopping fluoridation, showed no increase in cavities. The researchers thought that it might be because of fluoride treatment, so they checked at dental offices. Fluoride treatment had decreased sharply and still no increased cavities. A 2000 study in East Germany showed a significant fall in 3 years after stopping. They had dropped the fluoride from 1.0 parts per million to less than 0.2 parts per million. The researchers noted that decay rates between fluoridated and unfluoridated towns were pretty much the same and still dropping. Fluoride makes no difference in how many cavities you get. However, putting a baby to bed with a bottle makes a difference, not brushing your teeth makes a difference, and eating a lot of sugar makes a difference. But fluoride does not reduce cavities. Fluoride is a poison that causes white or brown stains on the teeth that become brittle with age. Fluoride causes or worsens allergies because it is a poison that disrupts the endocrine and immune system, as well as increasing antigen reaction and inhibiting enzymes. Fluoride disrupts thyroid hormones and increases the toxic load on kidneys. It builds up in bones where it causes or worsens arthritis. I like kids, I want them to be healthy, and I do not want to feed them poison. Please take the fluoride out.
Thank you. All right, Michael, Nancy, Matt, and then Keith Decker.
Hello, my name is Michael Schwartz-Oskar. Thank you all. I know We all have things we'd probably rather be doing, but I think it's so important that we're here and considering this issue. I am currently the executive director of the Brown County Oral Health Partnership, so you've heard some people speaking from that organization tonight. It's so important that we continue water fluoridation, and I completely support water fluoridation because without it, so many of our children would not have access to this critically needed thing. Fluoride strengthens teeth and prevents cavities. Dr. Eichmiller is the chief scientist for research at Delta Dental of Wisconsin, and he showed specifically in Wisconsin the research that getting rid of fluoride causes more cavities. Keeping it increased or helped children get rid of cavities. There's been national research for over 70 years, both proving the efficacy of fluoride and showing that there are not detrimental health effects. Now, the thing that you probably have to wonder is why would 125 organizations, including the U.S. Surgeon General, American Dental Association, American Medical Association, American Academy of Pediatrics, and the World Health Organization say that fluoride is critical to health and also say that there are no detrimental health effects, because that's what they're doing. And there's an important reason to believe those well-established organizations. Well, the people who are against fluoride have said it is conspiratorial. They have said that people are trying to benefit somehow off of fluoride causing cavities. I'm here to tell you that absolutely fluoride causes less cavities, and there's no financial gain for dentists or for us from kids having fluoridated water. In fact, it takes away the financial gain. It's important for you to hear. It's also important to note, and I would like you to weigh very carefully, the fact that the Protection and Wellness, did I get that right? Welfare Committee voted 3-1 to keep fluoride, and they spent so much time working on all the evidence. The lone vote, Alderman Zima, who did not vote for it, previous to his vote, asked Brenda if the fluoride and all of that was just a conspiracy, to which she replied yes. People move to communities for fluoride. There are millennials and others who say that we need to have fluoride, and by getting rid of it, you would possibly lose people who are moving away because of it. The healthcare costs are lowered by having fluoridated water. Final few facts. The EPA, which oftentimes people say is overprotective and doing too much, has made the decision absolutely we need to keep fluoride water, and they did not have to issue the 50-page reply to the group saying get rid of fluoride, but they wanted to because they felt so strongly that it was important to keep fluoride, and I think that's really telling. The Wisconsin Dental Association, I hope you all received that letter. Oh my gosh, if that letter doesn't sell you on the reason to keep fluoride, I don't know what will. Reduces decay minimum 25% over a lifetime. So with that, I'll just say that we are proud to serve around 10,000 kids a year. We have volunteer and paid dentists fighting for the oral health of children, and if you strip this from the city, you are going to cripple us in that fight and hurt children tremendously. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Michael. All right, Nancy, Matt, Keith, and ANGEK Craning. Hi.
Hi. Honorable council persons, Mayor, thank you for allowing us to come. I come wearing a number of hats. I'm from northern Price County, Wisconsin. I've been a hygienist for 43 years. I have two daughters who at the age of 6 months began getting fluoride drops. They were both valedictorians of their high school class. Caitlin is now a MD, graduating from Madison, doing her residency in Columbus, Ohio, and Samantha works for Marathon County Public Health with her master's in public health. Neither one has ever had a cavity, and it is not because they don't enjoy cookies, candy, cake. However, the base of it has been the fluoride that they have ingested throughout their lives. Caitlin is 28, Samantha is 26. In our areas, I take care of 18 public schools, public and private schools. I go in, I start at 4YK, I see kindergartners, I see second graders, third graders, sixth and seventh graders. In my career in hygiene, I have been in public health for 17 years. When I began, the dentists in our area, our Head Starts, our schools, had no one to refer children with cavities. We had urgent care needs up the yin-yang. I remember one of the first children I saw was in kindergarten and had 3 obvious abscesses in their mouth. Teachers in our rural areas, why, this classroom, the behavior, I can't keep these kids sitting down. We talked about ADHD and other disabilities. Out of that classroom, 7 children had urgent care dental needs. When those needs were taken care of better, you know, at our age, when we feel pain, we go, ow. At the ages that I see, those children have lived with pain for so long that they act out in other ways. Picky eaters, sleep, they're erratic, their behaviors, their temperaments, because of living in those areas with chronic pain. I also come here today representing the American Association for Community Dental Programs. It is a national organization. We have over 715 members. I have been president for the last number of years. And in 2014, when the neurobehavioral effects of developmental toxicity was published in the Lancet Neurology of March of 2014, we countered and we had experts that went in and showed without a doubt that the study that was considered in that study was far lacking in scientific form and energy. And I think each one of you have gotten that letter. So I would urge you to do that. We also have a large population of Micronesians, disadvantaged families that are working families. We have seen people flighted out of our county with cellulitises, life-threatening cellulitises, coming from areas without fluoride. I can tell you, we have 2 cities, Park Falls and Phillips, are fluoridated.
Okay.
Prentice, Medford, Butternut, Glidden are not. And I can see in my data that I've collected all these years that definitely the kids with the fluoride in their water and the kids that are outside of that have different defects.
All right.
So, thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, Matt, Keith, Angic, and then Michael Davis.
Good evening, Mayor Schmidt and members of the Green Bay Common Council. My name is Matt Crispin, and I serve as the Associate Director at Children's Health Alliance of Wisconsin. The Alliance is affiliated with Children's Hospital of Wisconsin, located in Milwaukee, and Children's Hospital is an independent healthcare system dedicated solely to the health and well-being of children. The Alliance leads and manages the efforts of the Wisconsin Oral Health Coalition, which is made up of more than 170 individuals and organizations working to improve the oral health of Wisconsin residents. In addition to oral health, the Alliance leads and facilitates statewide efforts on asthma, lead poisoning elimination, injury prevention, and early childhood literacy. I have a bachelor's degree in health science and a master's degree in public health. In addition, I've been a registered dental hygienist for the past 15 years and have studied fluoridation, evidence-based care, oral health prevention, and reviewed research extensively. In my years of working in clinical practice, I've seen numerous patients in pain from preventable tooth decay. As the director of the state school-based sealant program, Wisconsin Seal a Smile, we proudly partner with the Brown County Oral Health Partnership to provide sealants in your Green Bay schools. I have a vested interest in protecting the oral health of Green Bay children, which is one of the reasons I'm here today. I'm not here tonight to give you my opinion. I'm here to give you the facts. When making decisions that impact myself, my family, and the community, I rely on credible organizations such as the CDC, the American Academy of Pediatrics, the American Dental Association, and others who you've heard from tonight who support this great public health achievement. For more than 70 years, there is strong evidence to support the practice of community water fluoridation as an effective method of preventing tooth decay. There are clear facts that I must reiterate. There is strong evidence to show that communities that fluoridate their water have a 25% reduction in disease. This still holds true, as you've heard, even after the introduction of fluoride-containing products like toothpaste and rinses. This has also been proven in studies in Nebraska, Illinois, New York, and even right here in Wisconsin. The community of Antigo removed fluoridation from their water back in the 60s. Immediately, after a 5-year study, they saw significant increases in third grade decay rates and sixth grade decay rates, and they have begun fluoridating their water once again. While there have been some communities that have opted to remove fluoride from their drinking water, the percentage of the U.S. with access to optimally fluoridated water continues to increase. Since 2000, the percentage of Americans who receive optimally fluoridated water has increased from 57% to 66%. And maybe more importantly, by more than a 2-to-1 margin, communities that have voted or addressed this situation like you guys are discussing here this evening, 2-to-1 margin have voted in support of continuing their fluoridation program. Cities like Milwaukee, Madison, Wapaka, and Amory have all recently in the last 5 years taken this issue up and all continue to support this public health practice. We cannot make decisions impacting thousands of Green Bay residents, or any other city for that matter, based on feelings or conspiracy theories. I have heard already tonight, and I'm sure you will continue to hear, things like I feel, and I believe, and I notice, and then a list of causes or issues that are caused presumably by fluoridation. We have to look at the evidence and rely on the experts on these issues when we're making decisions. You've heard the EPA rejection. I won't go back into that, but that is very critical. The person who has brought this before you in your own community was one of the petitioners on that EPA petition, which has now been rejected and refuted with an almost 50-page document.
Okay.
Lastly, like many of you, I'm a father. This is my son, Connor. He's almost 3, and I've always made an effort to make sure he drinks fluoridated tap water. So please, tonight, make the decision to protect the residents of your own community and continue this great practice.
Thank you. All right, Keith.
Hey. Well, there's been a fair amount of talk of conspiracy and characterizing.
Your name?
My name is Keith Decker.
Yeah, I'll handle this.
And I just wanted to say, that my thoughts on that are that it's built into human nature that people are stubborn, and they want to look for what reinforces their previously held beliefs, and that explains a lot of it. So it doesn't have to be an intentional malicious evil. It's just people defend the status quo, and it's an uphill battle for we the people who try to push against it. And I'm not a toxicologist. I'm not a qualified professional. I'm just a local guy who spent a lot of time on this. I've spent about a decade, caring about this. So I have a lot to say. I don't think I can say it all real quick.
Yeah. But yeah, take your 3 minutes. Go ahead.
Right. Yeah. So I have a lot to say, and last night I registered the domain greenbaywater.org. If you want to hear everything I have to say with all the references and links to further information, please go there. Please give this your time. Please don't just be hasty in shutting it all down. give it some time and patient discernment. So if I can briefly try to say what I have to say, I believe public water fluoridation is unethical, unsafe, and unnecessary because it is a forced mass medication violating an individual's right to consent and disregarding individual appropriate dosage. That sentence alone is reason enough to stand in opposition to fluoridation. It should not be the role of government to force innocent people to ingest a substance against their will. That's why it contravenes multiple major codes of ethics and law. The very first sentence in the Nuremberg Code is the voluntary consent of the human subject is absolutely essential. In the United Nations, UNESCO's Universal Declaration on Bioethics and Human Rights, it's explicitly stated, in no case should a collective community agreement or the consent of a community leader or other authority substitute for an individual's informed consent. So it's very fundamental to human rights that we not have a drug forced into our body against our will. That's what I'm firstly defending, that I really care about. I believe it's a violation of people inherently. Regardless of to what extent it hurts or helps, it's inherently wrong because you're acting as if you own the body of another person. So that is my first point. You can read more on that if you go to the website. To back that up, there is evidence to believe that it harms people. There are vulnerable groups of people who are more at risk for the toxic effects. This includes infants, elderly, minority communities, people with certain nutrient deficiencies, and those with kidney disease, thyroid conditions, diabetes, and fluoride allergies. I brought that up to Dr. Moss, who spoke at the committee. He'd never heard of a fluoride allergy. You know, a lot of these things, a lot of these issues regarding the science, like I said, they can see what they want to see. They can interpret it different ways and disregard the reason to believe there is risk of harm. There are major groups of qualified professionals and large government bodies who believe for and against. You know, this is an issue which deserves your respect and your patience. Please look into it. Please go to greenbay.org to learn more.
Right.
And I'll leave it at that.
All right, thanks a lot, Keith. All right, Angic, Michael Davis, Andrew Vitek, and Taku Rossman. You're the next four. It's Angek. Craning. Is Angic here? All right, Michael Davis.
I think he just went out in the hall with his dogs. He did.
All right, we will wait on that. Andrew, Vitek, Vitek. Hey.
Hello. Members of the Common Council, first I have to say thank you for having this open discussion on this controversial subject. I believe it is important to the community that we come to the correct conclusion regarding the addition of fluoride in the public drinking water supply. I'm from Marinette, and you may be wondering why I've come. For some time, I don't really agree with the addition of fluoride to the water because it seems like a lot of the science isn't complete. All of the data shown, it's not showing sample size, it's giving you percentages with no real clear-cut lines and graphs that are kind of, I don't know, confusing to me anyway. I've reviewed a lot of I've looked on the CDC and the FDA websites, and it's still murky. I still don't understand it all the way. I'm concerned. The only thing I found regarding fluoride in those websites, none of these studies were listed. I couldn't find it. I'm not a scientist or anything, or I don't really know where to look. But the only thing I found was on the FDA website. They were talking about trying to combat osteoporosis with fluoride because it hardens calcium structures. But they found the addition of fluoride within the calcium matrix that's the bone just made a weaker structure and made it more brittle. And the first thing I thought, I've heard of people cracking their teeth on sesame seeds. Again, I'm not a scientist, but that seems crazy until you think about that. Now, the one thing I want to see, I haven't seen any studies concerning the rate of the remineralization of your tooth, or what concentration. I don't see this. I did a study. I worked at a water plant. I had access to an ion selective electrode. And after I fluoridated myself for 24 hours, I haven't really fluoridated myself aside from topically, and now I don't even do that, but for most of my life, I don't have cavities. But I want to know at what concentration and how long is ideal for the remineralization. Because what I use, you look on the CDC website and they have a little diagram. It says fluoride remineralizes, calcium remineralizes, and phosphorus compound remineralizes the tooth. Now I use calcium. I don't know. My teeth are just fine, and I don't understand this. I haven't seen any studies about when you add something, there's contact in the water industry. There's contact time for a desired effect, and I don't know the contact time or the concentration that's adequate for this. This is a mystery to me. Thank you for
All
your
right,
time.
thank you. Did that? I just want to give one more short. Angic, okay, and then Michael Davis and Taku Rossman. Right,
Can you pull up the PowerPoint?
3 minutes? Okay.
This doesn't move, does it?
Okay.
What's that?
Oh, you don't keep track, okay.
Thank you very much for allowing me to be here. I basically want to say there's no financial inducement for me to be here. I'm here under my own costs, so nobody's funding me to basically make my appearance here. As you can see, my name is Michael Davis. I hold a master's degree in both mechanical and chemical engineering. And this is my story. I was at the EPA permitting branch of the Water Division in Region 5 in Chicago. All my performance reviews were all positive. Criticized the EPA over the use of fluoridation chemicals. In 2014, my supervisor prohibited me from speaking with any parties outside without his explicit approval, and in December 9th, 2016, I was terminated for conduct unbecoming and failure to follow instructions with regards to that. There are many good people and many good things going on at the EPA. EPA's responsibility is regulate levels of fluoride allowed in drinking water as a contaminant, and as a contaminant in some regulatory categories as lead and arsenic. As you can tell here, fluoridation, bullet point number 1, hydrofluorosalicylic acid is industrial hazardous waste byproduct primarily from the phosphate, fertilizer, and aluminum industries, and basically that has been stated before, so let's move on. These chemicals are unsafe. There's no dispute can contain lead and arsenic in the hydrofluorosalicylic acid. Levels may be legal but not known safe levels for lead and arsenic. This is the EPA's union statement from 1999. And there's the book that Dr. Johnson basically referred to. And here's National Research Council. Fluoride has the ability to interfere with functions of the brain. More research is needed. Fluoride is therefore an endocrine disruptor. The chief endocrine effect of fluoride include decreased thyroid function. And if you basically look at fluoride, fluoride is in the same halide column as iodide. And then the last one, adverse bone and teeth effects due to fluoride are known as fluorosis and other risk factors, bone fractures, diabetes, kidney disease, and cancer. They're back to the book again and do a comparison between what the book says and EPA. Next. Dr. William Marcus. He was fired by the EPA for exposing the adverse effects of fluoride with regards to bone and liver cancers in rats, and he was later reinstated by the Labor Secretary Robert Reich. Kate Jenkins, she basically was fired for exposing the toxic dust at 9/11. Here, Miguel Del Torre was also sanctioned by the EPA for blowing the whistle with regards to the lead at Flint, Michigan. EPA's position, we've heard about that. There's back up on that one. Notice the last bullet point there. Dosage as defined as milligrams of fluoride per kilogram of body weight. It is constantly being stated about concentration of milligrams per liter. When, as an example, when anybody takes their child, a toddler, baby, an infant, to a doctor or a hospital, how does the doctor prescribe that medication? So many milligrams per kilogram of body weight. So that is basically being ignored in this issue. Next slide. There's the EPA's petition being rejected there. Next one. EPA's systematic pattern and inadequate regulations, ignoring and dismissing valid science, and intimidation of whistleblowers, as I basically explained there. There's the two viewpoints. And notice this chart here. And notice that what the government endorsed back long ago, and now the government basically says smoking is hazardous to us, DDT is hazardous, dioxin is hazardous, and they basically said these things were all perfectly safe at one time. And if there is a reasonable doubt, then the substance, that a substance is safe, people shouldn't be forced to consume it. Dosage who receives fluoridated water cannot be controlled. Violates the individual's right to informed consent. If you go to a doctor and the doctor basically says, here, take that medicine, without telling you what any of the side effects, adverse effects of taking that medicine, that doctor could have his or her license suspended for not giving you informed consent as to what the adverse effects of that medication are. And finally, with fluoridation, there is a wealth of science data growing every year, far exceeds the reasonable doubt. Better safe than sorry. Please end fluoridation.
Thank you. Thank you. Taku Rossman.
Taku Ronsman, 1688 Beaver Dam Drive, Green Bay. And I'm one of those people that had to fight the tobacco industry for a long time because of secondhand smoke. And I remember when the Surgeon General, when the Center for Disease Control and the Environmental Protection Agency were all they weren't up on the latest health problems with that, and it took years and years for them to get where we are today with all the smoke-free environments. When I first heard about the fluoridation, I actually supported the idea of fluoridation because I had been told, my whole life how important it was, and I believed all that. But then I started reading things that Brenda was posting online, and I thought, well, maybe I should start investigating. So about a week ago, I started looking up some information, and I was kind of shocked to find out that about 98%, this is from 2014, from CS World Online. They said that about 98% of countries in the world ban fluoride, and that the United States is one of the few countries that still does fluoridate its water, and that of all the countries that still fluoridate their water, 50% of them are from North America. And they said that that is the same relationship to which countries still allow or grow genetically modified foods. And it's making me think, well, maybe this is one area where possibly the United States is a little bit behind the rest of the world. So I started reading, like, who are all these countries and why are they doing it? And then I discovered that Austria, Belgium, China, the Czech Republic, Denmark, Finland, all those countries, they have their different reasons why they do not have fluoridated water. And this was way back, like in 2000, they were figuring this out.
Right.
And
2 minutes.
2 minutes, yeah. So, and some of the reasons, I mean, the reasons were already explained. You know, in China, the skeletal fluorosis, the bone diseases, and then, so some countries, they already have that in their water. But the countries that didn't have it, they started all banning it. So then I found that in 2005, the World Health Organization, they compared graphs of tooth decay trends for 12-year-olds in 24 different countries, and they compared 16 non-fluoridated countries with 8 fluoridated countries, and they had to meet a certain criteria of their income and population so that they were similar, and it said they could not support fluoridation as a reason for the decline in tooth decay in 12-year-olds that's been occurring in recent decades. So I'm requesting that you not make a decision tonight because I think it's still a little bit confusing because we do have all the dental associations, but then we used to have the EPA and the Center for Disease Control, and doctors, 9 out of 10 doctors smoke Camel. I mean, there are things, information that changes, and I want you to find out, I want you to be more sure about this, because why would all these countries be banning it so long ago and still have it banned, and we don't? I don't know. It doesn't seem logical to me that they would be wrong when they're leading in climate change. They're leading in a lot of different things that the United States is getting behind in.
Right.
So I want you to
Stick to the subject. Yep, no, we're good. Thank you.
please
We're good.
don't
We're good.
say
We're good.
that.
We're good. Give you a few minutes.
So
Thank you for coming.
I'm done. Thank
Great.
you.
All right. There's a few others of you who didn't want to speak. I just want to give you that opportunity. April, if you want, Linda Heim, Jane Richter, Marcia Dvorak, Heather Meyer, and Theo Nygren. If you wanted to speak, now would be your time. All right, ask anyone who hasn't spoke yet to queue up, and if you want to make a 2 or 3 minute comment. Is there anyone else who wants to speak, or any of you who, if you come up here and, this is testimony to the city council. You make a comment for 2 minutes, and anyone else who wants to speak, if you could just line up, and then we'll get back to to a regular session.
My name is Marcia Dvorak. I'm a registered nurse, and I just wonder if we should get more experts, like in the water engineering schoolings, that have a lot of evidence and support against fluoridation. I don't have the information, but I wonder if we could go that route.
Thank you, Marcia. Anyone else want to comment on this subject? Go ahead, either one of you. Come on up.
Hi, my name is Kelly Smith. I live at 1160 Bond Street in Green Bay, and I also believe that people should not be forced to take this, whether they want to or not. I have a fluoride filter at home. I do believe fluoride is damaging. Things that are toxic do good things, like arsenic kills bugs so it doesn't eat our lumber. It used to be in treated lumber. you know, but it has that good effect, but yet there's also a lot of bad effects associated with it. And I feel that way about the fluoride. You know, it probably does help reduce cavities to some extent, but yet I also believe there's a lot of negative things it can do that outweighs that one thing it, you know, can do. And then you're hearing all this evidence that the one thing it can do, maybe it's not really doing that. I just don't think people should be forced to take it. I think that it should be a choice, and I don't think you can say fluoride alone is responsible for the reduction of these cavities. You know, it might be a factor in that, but it's not the only factor. Certainly health, other health things, diet, you know, habits, all these things come into play. You can't just give all the credit for cavity reduction to fluoride. So I'm against putting something in there where people don't have a choice whether they're getting it or not. And I do see it as a toxic substance that is a byproduct of the aluminum industry. And it's a bad byproduct, not a good byproduct like leather or grape skins or grape oil. It's a bad byproduct.
Great,
Thank you.
bet, thank you. Sir?
I'll be very brief. My name's Jeff Harpt. I'm a resident of Green Bay. There's a little school in Boston called Harvard. They've done an analysis of many studies. In conclusion, our results support the possibility of adverse effects of fluoride exposure on children's neurodevelopment. I think for that reason, we should cease fluoridation until there's better research to bear this out. And my partner Patty and I both would ask that you cease the fluoridation of our
Great.
water.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, is there anyone else who wants to speak to this? Anyone else? Anyone else? All right. Right, there's a motion by Alderman Tom DeWine, second by Alderman Randy Scannell to return to regular order. All in favor of that motion, please signify by saying aye. Aye. And those opposed, nays. The ayes have it. We're back in regular session. Hang on one second. And Alderman Scannell, you had the floor. All right, go ahead.
Well, I'd like to make a motion to receive and place on file.
That is the motion on the floor. I think you made the motion and it was seconded by.
Oh, you're right, I'm sorry. Okay, well, then I'd just
Alderperson
like to
Dorff.
say why I support that motion.
Okay.
Though I am a little bit on both sides in that, well, let me just start why I support the argument. I fervently believe in science. And science is not a blood sport where you have two different scientists debating and the public can choose their champion. It's not a market where you can walk through and choose this study or that study and believe it. Science is a process. And fundamental to that process is peer review. And none of the effects that have been listed from concerned citizens have passed peer review. Even with the last one we just heard, it was the possibility. That's not a conclusion. And to be making public decisions on possibilities, I feel is poor decision-making. As long as science and our health officials promote this, I feel bound to follow their lead and wisdom. That does not mean, since science is a dynamic and it may change, as we've heard, like with smoking, perhaps down the road, there will be a study done that passes peer review and then becomes a part of science, and then we can address that then if and when that happens. So I think it's a good idea that we follow the professionals. Perhaps if we ever find ourselves in a situation where we can have fluoride in other products, I think maybe fluoride in sugar or soda might be interesting, salt and milk, whatever. We could then maybe look at it again to see where we could maybe make it a choice, take it out of water, people could choose, but that's not the possibility before us. And so until that can happen, I support the motion. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Alderman Chris Weary.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I know this can be an emotional issue, so I appreciate everyone for coming tonight and being respectful and testifying. There was a huge amount of info sent to all of us, and I thank you. I appreciated it. It was lengthy, And I evaluated all of it, as I'm sure all of us did, and I did my own digging in addition to that. My main takeaway from it is that supporters of water fluoridation are numerous, and they really are the heavy hitters of our medical, dental, and science world. Just to name a few, as had been mentioned, the American Academy of Pediatrics, the American Dental Association, American Medical Association, American Public Health Association, American Water Works Association, U.S. Surgeon General, Wisconsin Department of Health, Environmental Protection Agency, the World Health Organization, and over 100 more. I found a chart actually that was done by a New Zealand university that I thought did a great job of explaining things. It put into layman's terms kind of how many cups of water would it take to be at a probable toxicity level, and they use 1.0 milligrams per liter, not 0.7, so more than we do. And an infant age 0 to 12, it would take 180 cups for an infant. And so you move up to a child 1 to 3, 260 cups, child 5 to 6, 440, a youth 15 to 18, 1,140, an adult 19 plus, 1,220 cups to get to a probable toxicity level. And so I might drink 4 or 5 cups a day, maybe if I'm really working out, or if it's a hot day, I might drink 20. I'd have another 1,200 to go to get to a probable toxicity level. And just based on everything I've read, my decision is science-based, as it should be, and it has to be that. I support continued fluoridation of our water supply, and I really want our residents and our customers to feel and know confident in our process. So that's where I stand. Thanks.
Great, thank you. Alderman. Alderman Tom Slotnick.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Fascinating topic. I've learned a lot on this. I'm going to support the motion, largely for the same reasons that Alderman Scannell indicated he was going to support it. We have, I think we have to rely on the well-established scientific bodies, the CDC. I looked back, the CDC's been around since 1946. The American Academy of Pediatrics goes back to 1930. The American Dental Association goes back to 1859. So these are organizations that have been around a long, long time. And I'm not saying that newer organizations or newer groups might not be raising valid questions, and they may not be opening the door to new science and new learnings, but I don't think we've arrived at that point yet, so I'm going to support the motion.
All right, thank you, Alderman. Turn off your light, and Alderman Weary. I can get who's next here. Alderman Tom Dwayne.
Yeah, thank you, Your Honor. I'm going to support the motion. I'm not going to get into it. A lot of people did their studying. I do have a question for our attorney because I want to vote on this, but my wife works for a large dental place, and I just want to make sure that she gains nothing by this. And because, I took an oath of office, so I'm asking your opinion, can I still vote on this? Because I'm going to vote with Alderman Scannell and Alderman Weary, if I may. Yep. But I want to know, I want to make absolutely sure there's no conflict of interest. If there is, I'll abstain.
Great, thanks.
Abstention is unnecessary in this point. The potential for a conflict of interest is too attenuated to have a substantial impact on your decision. And on top of that, you disclosed it, which is really all that's required.
Thank you. So I can vote.
Yep.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Alderman Guy Zima.
Thank you, Your Honor. One of the speakers misspoke about my comments at the Protection Welfare Committee. I guess they said that I was in favor of getting rid of fluoridation. And much to the contrary, I think, hard to make a dramatic decision without great reason. But at the same time, fear of being ostracized for contemplating what some very dedicated people are looking into. And some of it, I spent a little time, and I never thought about any of this before a couple of weeks ago, or maybe a month ago. But I tell you, they said just watch 5 minutes of a little documentary film. It was about a half hour long. Well, I ended up watching the whole thing, even though it was about midnight. And I really wanted to go to bed, but this thing was very interesting. And so, while I don't think we should be hasty in making dramatic changes that we've had in our history here for 70 years without really great science behind it, I also don't want to be living under fear of ostracization if I want to examine other theories, other ideas about it. I mean, I just don't think while we continue with something that we should just bury our head, in the sand of the status quo. As we said, we've got ridiculous examples of what was promoted. You can go back farther in the 19th century. Hey, they gave what we consider very hard drugs out in pharmacies to take care of people, which would be unheard of today. But, and at the meeting, I made a motion which was not seconded, and the reason I voted against not to receive it and place it in file is because I'm not interested in burying my head in the sand. I think it's important research that's being done, and some of the arguments are very compelling. The ethical part of it, the fact that there are great portions of the world that do not have the same beliefs that we do. I've had pretty good teeth all my life. I don't know if, I think maybe fluoridation has something to do with it, but I don't really know. But I was intrigued by a lot of what I saw and read by the people who supplied it. So I made a motion that we put this on our agenda, have an update. I said at that time, every month or two. After thinking about it, I would think maybe a semi-annual review or even an annual review. Let's have an update about what is the latest science, because I think we should look at this. It's more important than I ever thought it would be. So, I'm going to make a motion that we refer this back for the purpose of having either a semi-annual or an annual review of what's the latest information, so that we can continue to learn, because this stuff, boy, it piqued my interest. And you start Googling, you want to have some fun, just go Google, and all kinds of articles come up, and I don't know if some of them are crackpot or not, but, they talk about, Hitler increasing the fluoridation in concentration camps, supposedly to keep them more docile. I mean, things really that you say, wow. Now, I don't know, maybe that's not true, but they did say it in that article. And I don't want to get carried away, but I think it's something that we should continue to inform ourselves about.
Right, you're 15 seconds into your 5 minutes, and there's a motion. Did you have a motion on the floor then to refer this back?
I want to refer it back for the purpose of setting up either a semi-annual, annual review of what the latest science is regarding fluoridation.
Okay.
That'd be my motion.
All right, so we have a motion on the floor. Is there a second? Great. All right, Mr. Vanderleest?
I think more information on fluoridization is a good idea. And right now, we're fluoridating our water, but it doesn't hurt to have an update on a yearly basis or semi-year, whatever we decide on. And just be good for all parties concerned.
All right, thank you. This is on the motion to refer this back. Alderman Zima, can you turn off your light, please? Alderman Stoyer?
Thank you, Your Honor. I'm leaning that way as well. And the reason is that we've been inundated with information on this on both sides. And both sides seem correct. They're right. Where do we find that correct answer? And it seemed like the more I read on this, it seemed like, I'll wait for you, Tom. I said, is there an issue with having fluoride given to all, regardless of age, health, or size? That was a question that I had. Another one was, does it affect bones? Does it affect internal organs? Things like how much fluoride are we ingesting? I think one of the things I saw in one of the videos, and I watched videos on both sides, was the fact that if you release it from a stack, it's considered a pollutant. If you put it in the river, it's also a pollutant. But if you have it in a truck and bring it in and put it into a water supply, that is considered a product. So who's right? Who's wrong? And I think for that reason, amongst many other reasons, you know, I use fluoride, I drink water, I drink tap water, I guess I'm still doing fine. But with that being said, I still don't feel fully comfortable at this time. I would like to see more updates. I'm not ready to vote on something like this tonight in terms of saying we gotta have it or we don't have to have it. I think it's important that we take a half step back and actually look at this issue. So for that, I support Alderman Zimma's motion.
Thank you. Alderman Moore?
Thanks, Your Honor. If we, just procedurally speaking, I mean, if we refer this back, what we're referring back is rescinding the resolution and then adding language to it. Shouldn't we do away with the resolution tonight with this motion and just bring forward a new communication? Because I fully support annual or semi-annual reports. I mean, they're mailed to us. We get it with our water bill once a year with what's in our water. To have that at a public meeting, whether it be presented to the council here as a whole or if it's done at Protection and Welfare, I'd fully support that if it's done a couple times a year and, people can bring their argument forward about, this is what your water report is and this is what's in it. But to actually refer back this specific motion, I don't think makes a lot of sense. I think we can take care of it tonight, bring forward a separate communication to have those annual reports.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah, makes sense. Thank you. Alderperson Dorf?
Thank you, Your Honor. I believe that we have staff, Nancy Quirk being the person I'm thinking of, the director for, and I'm holding here our Green Bay Water Utility Strategic Plan update, and our staff is hired to stay on top of these things. And I think that if we wanted to have updates, that we have people on staff that their job is to look into this. I think they do a very fine job right now, and their job is to stay abreast of all the scientific evidence that's out there and to ensure that the quality of water that our residents drink is appropriate. So I would not be in support of this. I would be in support of getting updates from our staff, but not to have a public hearing again. I want something that's a little more scientific, a little more based on evidence, and I would like this to be from our staff members. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Oh, my God. Alderman Nenning.
Thank you, Your Honor. I agree with some of what Mr. Zimma had said. This whole debate reminds me of some things that I learned in college, and my professors would be proud of me for remembering some of this. But there's a thing called dialectical thinking, where there's a prevailing thesis of something in the world. And then an antithesis comes along that challenges that thesis. Sometimes there's new information presented. Sometimes the facts of the world change. And I don't think there's anything wrong with people challenging a prevailing view. And I applaud the people that have brought all this information to us on both sides of the issue, because it's definitely raised some questions, some thinking, which is a good thing for us on the City Council and for everyone in general. But we are lowly politicians in local government, and we are not we're not trained in methods of science or in health or dentistry in which to judge which of the studies have merit and which of them don't. There was a comment made that more research is needed, and I can't disagree with that. I think coming right down to it, there was a petition to EPA. We're told that that's going to be challenged in court so that the judicial level can hear both sides. In the minutes of the Protection and Welfare Committee meeting, it quoted Ms. Stoudemire as saying that she's confident on the merits of the petition. I think we should let that play out. I would certainly like to be informed of the outcome of that judicial process. I don't know if 6 months or a year or whatever length of time is necessary for that. And, this is certainly not an issue, regardless of what's done here tonight, that is going to go away and that we're going to forget about. I don't think we need to put it on an agenda and go through this process, go through public hearings and all of that every 6 months or to a year. But certainly when there's more information that comes forward, and it may come out of this judicial proceedings, I would hope we'd be informed of that. And if there's something that we feel is going to change our minds at that point, it'd be placed back on an agenda. So. I'm not going to support the motion right now, but I do think it's an issue that is not going to go away, and the kind of dialogue and debate that we've heard here will continue, and I think we can all learn from that. So that's how I feel on it. Thank you.
Right, thank you. Alderman Scanlon, you speak again on this?
Yes, I'm against referral.
Okay, thank you.
I do thank everyone for coming, both sides, especially those who came a long distance. And I did learn a lot from this. But the dialectical was never applied to science. It's a philosophy and politics. This is science. And we have the EPA in their rebuttal were very detailed in their analysis. I got to read some of that. I went through some of that. I mean, when the science changes, we're going to know. That ain't going to be shoveled under any rug. So we don't need to have updates or anything else. When the world changes, we'll be part of that. That's going to be quite evident. So I don't think we need to refer this back. I don't think we need to keep debating this. This is a scientific issue. It's the scientific community wants peer-reviewed study that shows there's harm with fluoride. That will become part of science, and we will change. That's what science does. It changes. But it takes a study to pass muster for it to happen. That hasn't happened. And I see at this level, what we can do with this debate is, I don't see what we can do. So I see no reason to refer this back. I see no reason for updates.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, man. All right, so we're going to vote. This is on referral. The motion is to refer this item back. A yes refers it back, a no keeps it here. So that is not referred back. The 3 yeses and 8 nos. So we're back to the motion on the floor, which is to receive and place on file. You ready to vote? Use the board. A yes vote receives it and places it on file. No vote doesn't. And that passes by a vote of 10-1. So that motion's been received and placed on file. I want to echo what a lot of council people said. Thank you for coming, those of you who spoke on this. I know that some of you traveled, and we appreciate your input. Thank you. All right. Do you want to take a break, or you want to keep going?
I'd like to take a break.
Do you guys? All right, we're going to take a 5-minute break, and then we'll get through the rest of the agenda. All right, can we reconvene? Kind of thinned out the crowd. It's like nobody here. All right. Let's get back to our reports for council action. Clerk?
Report of the Park Committee.
Okay. All right, there's a No, we're, the only thing we pulled was number 9. So, state, let's get back. So there's a motion by Alderman Nenning. Seconded by Alderman Joe Moore to approve the report of the Park Committee for the meeting held on Wednesday, March 1st. Are there any items in this report you wish to handle separately? Hearing none, all in favor of that report, please signify by saying aye. Aye. And those opposed, nays. The ayes have it. That report's been approved.
Report of the Plan Commission.
We have a motion by Alderman Scannell, second by Alderperson Barb Dorf, to approve the report of the Plan Commission. That was for the meeting held on Monday, February 27th. Are there any items in this report you wish to handle separately? Hearing none, all in favor of that report, please signify by saying aye. And those opposed, nay. The ayes have it. That report's been approved.
Report of the Green Bay Public Arts Commission.
It's a motion by Alderman Joe Moore, second by Alderman Tom Slottick, to approve the report of the Green Bay Public Arts Commission for their meeting held on Wednesday, February 22nd. Are there any items in this report you wish to handle separately? Hearing none, all in favor of that report, please signify by saying aye. Aye. And those opposed, nays. The ayes have it, and that report's been approved.
Report of the Traffic, Bicycle, and Pedestrian Commission.
All right, there's a motion by Alderman Randy Scannell, second by Alderman Tom Slottick, to approve the report of the Traffic, Bicycle, and Pedestrian Commission. Are there any items under this report you wish to handle separately? Hearing none, all in favor of that report, please signify by saying aye. And those opposed, nays. The ayes have it, and that report has been approved.
Report of the Finance Committee.
All right, there's a motion by Alderman Randy Scannell, second by Alderperson Barb Dorf, to approve the report of the Finance Committee for the meeting held on Tuesday, February 28th. Are there any items in this report you wish to handle separately? Hearing none, all in favor of that report, please signify by saying aye. And those opposed, nays. The ayes have it, and that report's been approved.
Report of the Improvement and Service Committee.
All right, we have a motion by Alderman Randy Scannell, second by Alderman David Nenning, to approve the report of the Improvement and Service Committee for the meeting held on March 1st. Are there any items in this report you wish to handle separately? Number 2. Hearing none others, all in favor of the remainder of that report, please signify by saying aye. Aye. And those opposed, nays. The ayes have it. All items have been approved with the exception of item 2. What are your wishes regarding item 2? There's a motion to approve by Alderman Randy Scannell, seconded by Alderman Tom Slottick. Alderman Wary.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm just going to make a motion to refer this back. I have some new information that we can talk at committee.
All right, so we have a motion by Alderman Weary, second by Alderman Nicholson to refer item 2 back. Alderman Moore, did you want to speak on that?
Make a comment real quick.
Yep, go ahead.
Thanks, John. I support referral on this. I think that we need to be proactive in some of the actions that we take. There's a drinking culture in the area, and it is what it is. And if we can curb some things here by allowing street parking for 10 to 12 nights a week or a year, maybe concerts. This is a pretty small thing that we're giving, but I think it would be wise for us to actually create a district where it's allowable over there. Create a district, parking district, or whatever you want to call it, events district, and then have that made allowable. So yeah, I would definitely support referring this back and see some more discussion on it. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Alderman Tom DeWayne?
Thank you. I was glad Alderman Moore brought that up because every football game, I get these couple residents that like to park cars in my neighborhood on the lawn because they can. And I found out the hard way this year. I talked to the officers, and they told me it's allowed anywhere in Green Bay. So I prefer districts also. Because they do it just because they can. So, thanks.
Okay. All right, with that, we have a motion and a second to refer item 2 back to the Improvement Service Committee. All in favor of that motion, please signify by saying aye. Aye. And those opposed, nays. The ayes have it. Item 2 has been referred back.
Report of the Personnel Committee.
Move to approve.
All right, there's a motion by Alderman Tom DeWayne, second by Alderman Randy Scannell, to approve the report of the Personnel Committee. That was for the meeting held on Tuesday, February 28th. Are there any items in this report you wish to handle separately? Hearing none, all in favor of that report, please signify by saying aye. Aye. And those opposed, nays. The ayes have it. That report's been approved.
Report of the Protection and Welfare Committee granting operator licenses.
There's a motion by Alderman Tom DeWayne, second by Alderman Mark Stoyer, to approve the report of the Protection and Welfare Committee which granted the operating licenses. Are there any names under this report you wish to abstain from or handle separately? Okay, hearing none then. All in favor of that report, please signify by saying aye. And those opposed, nays. The ayes have it, and that report's been approved.
Receive and place on file building permit report for February 2017.
All right, there's a motion by Alderman Randy Scannell, second by Alderperson Barb Dorf to receive and place on file the building report permit for February 2017. Any discussion here? Seeing no lights, all in favor of that motion, please signify by saying aye. And those opposed, nays. Ayes have it. That report's been received and placed on file.
We're on to resolutions. You may, under suspension of the rules, adopt resolution 11 through 13 together with one roll call vote.
All right. Before we do that, I'd like you to look at resolution canceling the taxes. It's resolution 11. There's an error in that number. The year is 2016. The account is 2897, but the amount is $1,299.90. 57,800 was the assessed value. So I need to amend that before we approve it.
So moved.
Right, there's a motion by Alderman Tom DeWay and second by Alderman Randy Scannell to amend Resolution 11 for the correct amount of $1,299.90. All in favor of that amendment, please signify by saying aye. And then, all right, we have a motion by Alderman Moore, second by Alderman Scannell to adopt it as amended. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. And those opposed, nay. Now I'll take the motion to adopt 11 through 13. Suspend the rules all right, there's a motion by Alderman Randy Scannell, second by Alderman Mark Stoyer to suspend the rules for that purpose. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. And those opposed, nays. Ayes have it. The rules are suspended.
Motion to adopt.
By Alderman Randy Scannell, second by Alderman Chris Weary. What's that? We're on 11 to 13. So if you please use the board here, this is resolutions 11, 12, and 13, right? Yeah. Okay, and that passes. All right, clerk? Chris
Ordinance
wants
is,
to take 15 separate.
okay, so you want that first? Or 14 and 16 take care of that?
Yeah, take 14, 16.
You may, under suspension of the, we're on to ordinances first reading. You may, under suspension of the rules, advance ordinances 14 and 16 to a third reading.
All right, there's a motion by Alderman Scannell, seconded by Mark Stoyer to advance resolutions 14 and 16. We can do this on a voice vote. All in favor of that motion, please signify by saying aye. Aye. And those opposed, nays. Ayes have it. 14 and 16 have been advanced to the third reading. What are your wishes regarding item 15? You want to advance this to the second reading? What? I would like to make a motion to advance to the second. Second, Alderman Weary.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Originally, I did support changing the time. I've changed my opinion, and I'm going to make a motion to receive and place this on file.
Does that supersede? It must. This is Resolution 15, which is the ordinance amending Section 2.01. That was the start time for the council meetings. So there was a motion to advance this to the second reading, and now Alderman Weary asked that we just receive and place this on file. So which?
Or just vote no.
Proper motion.
Hang on, I'll talk to our attorney. Yeah, is that?
Change it from
So this is a little unorthodox. Normally, you either vote up or down an ordinance. We do have to go through a minimum of 2 readings on it. So it either has to be advanced to the second or the third reading, and then normally voted up or down. Receiving and placing on file. I don't think so. I think it needs to be voted up or down because it is an ordinance.
Okay, so if that motion's out of order, I'll give you the floor. Do you want to?
I appreciate it. Then I'm voting no. I think 7 p.m. does work. You know, I allows plenty of time for residents to get here. You know, we really shouldn't be forcing people to take, you know, maybe vacation or really rushing to get here. I think 7's fine. It's worked. I think it's fine. So I'm voting no.
I just want to be clear, Alderman Weary. The motion on the floor is to advance this to the second reading.
Right, and to change it to 6.
Right.
Yeah, and I don't.
And you're voting no on
support
the
that.
advancement.
Yeah. I think
Okay.
we should just kill it here. Thanks.
Alderman Tom Slottick?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I agree with Alder Weary on this. As I said when we first discussed this, I think moving the time up to 6 o'clock is just going to interfere with people's dinner plans and going to make it more difficult for people to be here to speak. Thank you.
Okay, there's a lot of lights on here. I'm gonna think about this. Then why don't we just vote it tonight? Because or else we're gonna do this for another month. Well, the motion on the floor is to advance this, so you want to take it to the second reading, then advance it to the third reading, then vote it up or down, or can we just do it tonight? That's my question.
Mayor.
What if we don't advance it?
Okay, so if I can clarify.
Okay.
The ordinances shall have 3 readings unless the rule is suspended by 2/3 vote of members present. And then if you want to advance it to a third reading, that requires, that's when you're advancing. Otherwise, this just automatically goes to a second reading. Again, I think that we have to have, so if you want to kill it, the next one, you got to advance it to next week. Otherwise, if it's going to, it needs to go through its normal course of readings before it can be voted on.
Alderman Moore? Oops, sorry.
Thanks. Attorney Chavez, what happens if the vote to advance fails? Then does that just kill it?
No, so if it's going to go through its natural process, it automatically goes to a second reading just because that's its natural progression. So it's not advancing it. You're not voting to advance it. You're just basing what you're doing right now is advancing it to a third reading and skipping the second one. That's what we always vote to do. And so if we don't take any action on it, you're just sending it to its second reading.
Okay.
Do we need to hear from all these people?
No, it don't make sense either.
Alderperson Dorff?
I don't know if I have anything to discuss because I'm not sure what's going to happen. But I guess the question I had was, have we received any negative feedback from the public about starting the meetings at 6 o'clock?
Yeah.
Has anyone received any?
Yeah, I don't know that that's what we're talking about. I want to be clear on what we're doing here.
What are we talking about?
If we're just advancing this to the second reading and then to the third reading, and then we vote it up or down, I mean, nothing's going to happen. And you're saying that is what we have to do?
I don't have that question.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's our privilege to stop it here.
Alderman Tondoin, you want to?
No, I just feel why would we have to wait? Why would we have to wait to kill this? I mean, that doesn't make any sense at all. Why would we wait another month to do something we want to do right now? It makes no sense at all.
So the reason we do that is because there's a presumption that it's going to die, and you can't actually know that without violating the Open Meetings Act until you actually vote on it.
Well,
And
we can
so,
vote right now, we'll find out.
but we can't do that on the time that it's introduced. We can't vote on it the night it's introduced. That's by our ordinance. It actually states in ours that no ordinance shall be passed at the meeting it is introduced. And again, you won't know if it's going to be passed or if it's going to be defeated until you vote on it.
All right, that's our. What happens if they vote no on the ordinance first reading?
What do you mean? Like
Right now, just wait, I want to finish with Alderman Slotnick. Hang on. We're discussing General Ordinance 6-17, which is amending this. What if they vote no on it tonight? It doesn't advance? I mean, that's the motion that's on the floor right now, is to advance this to the second reading. What if there's not enough votes to advance it? Is it dead, or what happens? Or does it automatically go in there? That can't be right, that their vote is insignificant.
So, what we've been doing.
Okay, Alderman Zimmer, what's out of order here?
On the decision that you couldn't receive it and place it on file, I believe you can. I don't know what kind of archaic thinking or sophistic thinking is involved. That's the way if you want to end something, you receive it and place it on file, it means it's done.
Okay, all right, hang on.
And I would like to hear, and, you know, I mean, I'm constantly amazed at some of the rulings of our city attorney. This is like a no-brainer as far as I'm concerned. We have received and placed things on file. We've killed them in various different ways. And the idea that something has to have 3 readings because we started it, or minimum of 2 readings, oh, and you have to wait to kill it at the end? Are you kidding me? I think receiving and placing in file is a proper motion. I challenge that opinion. I would like to hear more from our attorney why she thinks that that's not a proper motion, because I think it's a very proper motion. Where in Robert's Rules of Order does it say we can't receive something and place it on file?
Okay, let me just, I think she read, it's your ordinance or our ordinance. So do you want to?
It is our ordinance. Our ordinance states it. So,
Says it's going to have 3 readings before it's passed. That's what the ordinance says. We can stop something anytime we feel like it.
so we have 2 conflicting things going on right now. We have something that came out of last meeting saying, yes, this is going to happen, and then it was sent on to be considered as an ordinance. Now that it's in ordinance form, the way we deal with it is we vote it up or down. And so our options now are to give it its 3 readings or to advance it to the next reading and deal with it then. If you want to kill something because you don't want to deal with that anymore, the proper way to do that would be a reconsideration.
Just as handy a way of taking care of it.
Okay, that motion's out of order. She just said we can't do it. Well, I do. Jeez. All right, jeez.
What the heck?
Yeah, all right.
I've been here for 42 years and I've heard motions, and this is the most poppycock one I've ever heard.
And I appreciate that. However, you're.
Well, we gotta push it to the 3rd reading.
All right, Alderman Zima, just.
Sir,
no,
I don't appreciate the way you're speaking to me.
Right.
I speak very respectful to you, and I would appreciate if you'd extend me the same courtesy.
We have 2 choices, but hang on. Alderman Zima, just stop. What if the votes aren't, I think that's a good, Alderman Slotnick asked the question I want the answer to. What if the votes aren't there to advance it? Then does it come back? What happens?
So the only time we need to actually advance it is when we're sending it, we're skipping that 2nd reading and going straight
Right.
to the 3rd reading. If we are not going to advance it to the 3rd reading, the natural progression is we just put this on the agenda, it goes through its 1st reading, and then the 2nd one occurs automatically.
All right. So, all right, you can ask a question, but if that, I'm going with the attorney. Go ahead, Alderman Ware, I'm sorry.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I do humbly disagree. I remember killing things when it was at the 1st reading numerous times. I haven't been around 40 years, but 14 years. What if I just reconsider tonight? Could I do that tonight? All right,
Yes.
well, I motion to reconsider my vote from last time.
Yes, you can do that.
There we go.
I don't, did you vote in, just
I was in
wait.
the affirmative.
Okay, I just want to be clear on that. You were
I
in
think
the
it was a
affirmative.
6-6
It was a
vote. We broke
6-6
it back
vote.
down. I was
and
in
I-
the affirmative.
All right.
If that's easier, if
Then it
that's,
can't be
Yeah.
voted on until our next meeting, because he didn't give notice of reconsideration in a timely manner. We want to really know what the law says.
Well, hang on a second, why don't you just reconsider it and we'll take it up at the next meeting? Well, she said you can't, so.
Well, if we don't advance it, what happens to it? It just stays there in purgatory?
It automatically advances to the 2nd reading. I don't know, but that's what. No, it's not. We're voting to advance it to the 3rd. If we don't vote to advance it to the 3rd, it automatically goes to the 2nd reading.
And if we don't vote to go to the 2nd reading, somebody can vote
No.
to go to the 2nd reading, and this is your.
Yeah, and that motion was out of order. It automatically goes to the 2nd reading.
That's not out of order. Anybody can ask for it to go to the 2nd reading if they want to have more time to consider it. We've done that. You're going to tell me that the 2nd reading's out of order? I don't know.
The 3rd reading,
Robert's Rules of Order to go along here?
hey, I'm just listening to what the attorney said, and she said we have an ordinance here that this automatically follows a process to go to the 2nd reading. Yeah,
If you don't vote to have it go to 2nd, it doesn't go.
the reason we suspend the rules is to go from first to third. I was here when we changed that. That was a long time ago, 14, 13 years ago, because we wanted to expedite the time. But things automatically went to the second reading. Now, that's before I was here, but from what she says, that makes sense to me. So, we're almost to you guys. Hang on one second. We're almost there. Vanessa, what do we want to do with this? I'm sensing,
I'm pulling up the Roberts rules on reconsideration on what we can do when we have not given adequate notice.
I don't know why you can't reconsider this and we take it up next week. Hang on. She's looking at the reconsideration. Okay. Yeah, Alderperson Dorf, do you have?
The point I want to make is, what difference does it make if we advance it to the second and third reading? It stays the same. It's going to stay the same until we get to the second or the third reading. It's going to stay 7 o'clock. It makes no difference. So do we really need to take up all this time trying to figure this out? That's my question.
Yeah. We're waiting for a ruling from the clerk on if reconsideration is a proper motion. That's what we're waiting for. I mean, from the attorney.
She stated yes.
No, she didn't.
The question right now is whether we can do it tonight.
Okay.
What do you want me to do? I'm not gonna. It's not gonna take her long. She's a fast reader.
Thank you, Mayor.
Can we hold this till the next meeting? Just challenge the chair. Do this, do that. Just shut up. Yes. Just be quiet. Just quit talking and coaching him. He's a smart young man. He doesn't need your advice. Knock it off.
Come on, guys.
Again, I will not be treated that way. I won't.
You just stop it. You're too long.
And that's okay. I treat you with respect as well.
I don't know why we can't just advance this to the second reading. All right, that's awesome.
Okay.
Thank you. We do. We have people, we have customers here. So,
I'd like to know. When are we gonna find out?
I can give you guys I will send you guys an update by email this week. You guys have the information.
so just to
On the rules
advance
for
this to the next reading,
reconsideration.
we will do everything we can to either reconsider or to kill it, take it to a vote.
Right, you have to come in and file a reconsideration.
Right. All right.
Mayor, I disagree. I think we've done this before in the past, first reading.
I don't know.
Voted no, it's done.
Okay. Well, we're going to use the board. The
So-
motion is to advance this to the second reading.
Okay, so here's the.
Don't know, let's see.
So
Let's see.
here's how we can actually vote on it tonight. And it is only if the rule is suspended by unanimous vote of the members present, meaning every single person in this room has to agree to take up this tonight for a vote.
I'll make that motion and we take it up tonight for a vote.
Yep, second.
Are we voting on it?
Let's get
Okay.
it done.
Go ahead. It's got to be unanimous. Use the board. This is to take it up tonight.
Anybody vote no?
Okay, so we're not taking it up tonight
Why not?
because we didn't have,
I don't.
okay. come on, we have people. We got two major issues to do tonight. So with that, this is to advance it to the second reading, at which time we will give you some options that we've studied.
Still voting no.
Go ahead. This is to advance it to the second reading.
I'd also like to know if we can amend.
Not tonight, man.
No, not tonight.
Yeah, sure.
So we're advancing it to.
But what if it
I thought it was out of order. I thought if my motion was out of order, it can't be second reading, because it automatically goes to second.
I thought,
That's correct. There we go.
all right. There's a motion and a second to advance this to the third reading. If you please use the board, you're right. Please use the board on this. You're right. It going to the second.
Okay.
Okay, so this is not advanced to the third reading, so we will take this up in 2 weeks at the second reading. All right.
Then what? We have some clarification.
We will. We'll have clarification. What you can do.
We don't know right now from our city attorney's office?
It's at the second reading.
So, so at the second reading, we can put on the request for reconsideration. It's been requested, and then it can be decided at that time through that avenue. Otherwise, at that point, it would be advanced to the third reading, and in the third reading is when it could actually be voted up or down.
Okay, could you just repeat that?
Sure. So there are two things going to happen at the next meeting. First, we're going to put the request for reconsideration, because it was made tonight. It'll be put on the agenda, meaning this item could be decided at that point. If it is defeated, if the reconsideration is defeated, this will automatically advance to the third reading, at which point, at the third reading, this will be taken up for consideration. And at that point, it's voted up or down.
And at the second reading, if the reconsideration is upheld, then we vote on it. Second reading.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
That goes up or down.
Correct.
All right, clerk, let's move on.
We're on to Committee of the Whole. Request by Council President Tom DeWayne to discuss with possible action all proceedings, including distribution of all monies related to the Northland Hotel, including all subcontractors who haven't been made whole for monies owed and the total amount owed, and to allow the council to discuss any and all concerns about the Northland Hotel. Second request by Council President Tom DeWayne to discuss with possible action the hiring of a third-party auditor to investigate all disbursements made for the Northland Hotel project and to investigate whether proper protocol was followed on all contract agreements with banks and all other parties involved.
All right. Alderman DeWayne, do you want to start this?
Oh, yeah, well,
Okay.
obviously, we met last month, and we held it up for 1 month to get information. And so I'm interested to hear what's going to be brought forward. Thank you, by our staff, by our attorney.
Do you want me to respond?
Yeah, I don't think that's,
So the motion that was made at the last meeting was to receive, or to hold for 30 days to see if a senior lender was going to be in place. So staff, to my recollection, was not directed to bring anything. Instead, we were waiting to hear from the developer to see what information they were bringing.
the developer's
That's not my
here.
understanding, Your Honor. I talked at length this morning with our attorney, but I didn't agree with that. I thought that was just part of it, and then this other information would come along with it. That's why they wanted another month. That's why I agreed to it.
I don't want to argue with you, but we went and listened to the tape again today of the council meeting 2 weeks ago, and it was to hold this for 30 days, and you could do some research regarding the finances and other elements of this hotel. That's what we said, and I was hitting my hand just like this, and that's the way we left it. Now, the developer's here. I think we have some news to share with you. I think you can ask any questions you want of the owner of staff. We don't have a handout for you. We monitor this project every day. And I think a proper motion would to open the floor to hear from interested parties, because I think the owner of the property should address this council. All right, so we have a motion and a second to open the floor to hear from interested parties. All in favor of that motion, please signify by saying aye. Aye. And those opposed, nay. So we're discussing the committee as a whole, and again, Alderman Dwayne had some questions over the subcontractors, monies related to the hotel, as well as disbursements made by the hotel. Would the owner like to address that, Brigitte? Well, she's married to the owner. State law.
Hello, thank you for having us back. When we appeared before the Common Council last month, we were very hopeful that a bank that had toured the property several times and expressed interest in the project, we thought that they would move forward with this loan. However, their loan committee declined our request. We believe it was due in part to some of the negative publicity, but we also believe that it's because it's a very difficult loan for a regional bank to make for a half-built hotel. However, we do have some good updates for you today. We've been discussing Hotel Northland for quite a while now with a real estate investment firm that specializes in financing hotels. On January 19th, in fact, ahead of our last Common Council meeting, we contracted with this firm. Their name is Sonnenblick Eichner, and they have significantly expanded our reach beyond a single interested bank. We're confident that Sonnenblick Eichner's ability to help us secure a loan. They're one of the top hotel investment firms in the nation. They come highly recommended by Provenance Hotels, which is our hotel management firm. They recently completed a $726 million transaction for Provenance Hotels. So they have a track record of doing these independent, non-branded hotels. Sonnenblick has a strong track record. They're very familiar with the market. In fact, they were the team that secured financing for the Hampton Inn and Suites a block away from us. So they've been to the property. They've spent quite a bit of time researching this, and we believe that they understand this project and they will find us the financing. One of the elements that they needed for this financing was an independent third party that would come in and do what's called a feasibility study. And that feasibility study tells them that our business model, our pro forma, and our projections are sound. Those results came in last week, and in fact, they did prove accurately that our pro forma is sound and that they're going to move forward with this. And they feel that this will help us with finding a replacement lender. Most significantly, I would like to share that we continue to work with our junior lenders on this project, and our existing partners are working on a strategy right now to get the building finished. And that's important to us because they believe that it eliminates a major obstacle in securing a senior loan for a half-built hotel. This could get the subs back to work as early as April. And I'm going to let Keith talk a little bit about what's happening on the construction side and our subcontractors.
Can I just ask the spelling of that company?
Oh, Sonnenblick, she needs to spell it. Alderman Dwayne needs the spelling of that.
Sure, Sonnenblick, Sonnenblick. And then the second name is Eichner, Eichner. And I think the website is sonnenblickeichner.com.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
You're welcome. Thank you, Brigitte. Since construction began at Hotel Northland, more than 150 workers have been on the job. I am on the property every week. Some of you have seen me, some of you have not. I've given many tours to many council members. This also includes giving updates to our subs. And our subs, we're incredibly patiently waiting to get paid, as you know. Mike Kalowitz, one of the owners of Verhalen, wanted to be here tonight to express his support for the project. He's based out of Green Bay. He couldn't be here, but he sent a letter in his support, which we'll pass out to the aldermen. Bridgette has also told you about our support of our junior lenders, our largest singular investor in the Hotel Northland to date, which has invested close to $12 million, was here with us in Green Bay today. All told, we are all very positive we will resume construction of the hotel very soon, and we thank you very much for your support.
To I think you guys should ask some questions, but just from a finance standpoint, Octagon, who's got $11.5–12 million, was Keith had said was in town today. We got our TIF money in this at 2.5, and then we had some Section 108 money in here through HUD, and you see Antonio Riley, you all know him. He is here today. I just kind of want this council to get a comfort level or a little bit more patience with this project, and I'm willing to answer anything. Diana has information on where we're at and financially, which you know because you've been sent everything that we have. And the owner is here saying, look, we don't have a senior lender, but we feel really good about it, but we don't have it. And they want to resume work April 1st. Or get some subs back on the project by April 1st. And the only way the subs are going to come back, there's a couple of them working today, but, with Martin and Tweet Garrett is a path to getting paid. We know that. I've talked to him. I know, Tom, you've talked to him. And this council, we're a junior lender, right? We're one of 5 people who've invested in the Northland Hotel. We are in this project maybe 17%. You've been more aggressive with other projects, Festival Nicolay, and we've done less with other projects. But the most recent appraisal came out it was recent, it's a third appraisal, 34 million, and we'll be in there at 6.5. I can't tell you how much I believe in this project. I know you want that thing open. I wanted this thing open. We have the city's best interest. Every move we've made, this has been tough. I don't know what to tell you. I'd like to give them more time. We don't have a heck of a lot of choices here either. I mean, you really want to trigger foreclosure, we're going to get nothing. We, as a junior lender, someone who's got 13% in this deal, 17%, we can't tell them what to do either. I mean, we didn't tell Scogan what to do with management, and that's Keith and his wife's decision. I mean, they own the company, and whether you like him or not, I mean, I can't help that. He's got the largest debtor, which has got twice as much money as we got, was in town today, that wants to protect his investment too, and we need to protect ours. And the only way we're going to get our investment back is if we secure a senior lender, period. There's nothing else we can do. We can't just open the hotel with 2 floors and leave the other 6 vacant. That's not going to work. We can't engineer this thing to just paint it and carpet it because we are relying heavily on historic tax credits. And the Parks Commission is in here all the time approving everything we do. I know a lot of you have been through that hotel, and I want to give you a comfort level, but I want you also to know I'm just as frustrated as all of you. But I believe these people can get us over the goal line, and I just ask you to continue to support it. But like I said, we have 2 options. One's to trigger foreclosure, which no other junior lender is even talking about that. They're impatient, they'd like to get paid, but they're like, what can we do as a junior lender to secure a senior lender? And that's the position we've taken. We know who they are, talk to them all the time. You guys have been great with this project thus far. You're running out of patience, as am I, but that hotel's going to open this year, and we have a lot of work to do in the next 60 days. And, with that, I think Vicky's here, and we'll answer any questions you got. So, Alderman Moore.
Thanks, Your Honor. Just a few questions here. First, regarding Sonnenblick Eichner, what is the current relationship with them? Or is there an actual contract in place or anything that they're?
Yes, the contract was signed on January 19th, so that was actually ahead of last month's Common Council meeting. But we wanted to give the lender that was considering our loan an opportunity to get to loan committee. But we wanted to move forward with Sonnenblick Eichner. So since that time, they are working on our behalf, putting together the project details that will go out to shop the project with individual lenders.
It's part of my next question then. Who then takes the lead in finding the senior lenders? That Sonnenblick Eichner's going to do that, and then you're just going to focus on the construction and operation?
Yes, so that's their role.
Okay, so at this point, they're just putting together their promotional packet, essentially, their presentation on trying to bring somebody on board?
Yeah, it's called a confidential credit memorandum,
Okay.
and it's more than a sales package. It actually has to vet out the pro forma. What they were waiting for was that independent third-party study, and they're putting that together, and they should have it on the street.
Is that independent third-party study something that we could get in lieu of the audit, that we could see?
Absolutely.
And then the next question I had was, the senior lender that walked, do they send any type of document or statement as to their reasoning for leaving?
We asked for it. We were told verbally, and we asked for them to give us a kind of a written statement so that we could understand why, to avoid any pitfalls in the future, and they elected not to do that.
Okay. And I'll just, if, Your Honor, can I just address President Dwayne?
Sure. Yeah.
Alderman Dwayne, you know, you and I had kind of talked quite a bit about this
Yes.
third-party audit. Do you think that this letter would suffice? The copy of this audit that Sonnenblick Eichner is doing?
I think if we, I honestly believe if we can get the judge to release their holdings to find out what's going on. From what I understand, it's been from our attorney given to us that the reason they opted out was because of failure to keep with the disbursement agreements that were signed. And that's why they opted out. I don't know, Mark Belange's their attorney. They would come forward if they were subpoenaed or if something was brought forward that, in that fashion, but that's from what I understand. And the mayor was talking earlier about Octagon. You know, I understand that they're 100% because they put in 100, from what I believe, they're all in already. They released their $12 million. Is that right, Mr. Hernanda? Octagon, they're all in?
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah. So you can understand, of course, I would be too, as a lender, but as a council, this is one of our biggest projects. Schreiber, they come in, they're billionaires. They just rolled up their sleeves and they did their work. You talk about Colgan, big family name here. Everything they've done in Green Bay has been completed without anything fumbling up or anything like that. And so obviously we also have deep concerns. The city of Green Bay put probably close to $10 million in already. I don't know, Deanna, if she can give us the exact numbers that we got in already.
Yeah, I just said that. We're 6.5 in.
Yeah, 6.5, and I think it was, okay, 6.5, we'll go with that. Yeah.
Right.
And I'm concerned because a lot of this money has been dispersed and you have people not getting paid, people that live in our backyards and do a lot of this work, and we're not getting any explanation. Since we're one of the lenders, you would think we'd be be able to get that information, but talking to our attorney, we can't get it, and I don't understand that. So I hope I answered your question.
I guess just one of the agenda items in here is regarding the action of hiring a third-party auditor.
Right.
And if a third-party auditor has been hired, I mean, rather than spending money on a second third-party audit, I guess I would be more inclined to getting a copy of this audit that's being done before they buy into the project. So I guess that's just my feeling on it. Third-party audit is being done right now, and if we can get that individually, I think that would suffice without having to hire our own accountant or anybody else to go and do the work.
The reason why I'd rather have our own is because he's non-biased, he has a no, I mean, from what I understand, this company is gonna be part of the
But they're hiring a third party.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
Well-
same thing we would be doing.
Yeah.
Hiring somebody that's not biased.
Yeah.
Okay, that's all I have. Thank you. Your
All
Honor.
right, thank you. Alderman Gazima?
Thank you. I have about 3 questions. One, the mayor presented you as the owners. Are you the sole owner, or is that being contested in court right now?
No, I'm the sole owner.
And this court case that's been sealed, that's not contesting
He is
the
the sole
original
owner of the
developer?
hotel.
What?
He is the sole owner of the hotel.
Could you tell us the basis for that? Because that's not who we started with.
I understand that, but that is the fact
Is there,
today.
is there a sale to you from the original developer? How did you acquire it?
Right, tell me.
How did you acquire?
Through the default of the previous owner. That's all I'm capable of saying. It's through the default of the previous owner.
Through the default of the previous owner? Well, that kind of leads me into my question, my next question. I've come to understand that you say it's a previous owner. Mr. Horrenda was an owner at the time too, that there were defaults as far back as, what was it, May of last year, and then again in September. And I guess, why did you folks, if you're the owner, violate the loan agreements? Why did you open up bank accounts outside the prime senior lender you had in place? There was a prime lender, and they filed defaults, and you were named in it too.
They were alleged defaults. We've never acknowledged that these
defaults.
were defaults.
Oh, and so you didn't fight that? They're alleged. Gee, I wouldn't let anybody allege anything against me that wasn't true. So it seems to me there was a senior lender in place. And the other developer that you say he violated it, or he defaulted,
I didn't say that.
what did you say? Clarify it, please.
He lost his ownership of his own default.
Were you or were you not a partner or owner of the property, part owner or full owner of the property in May of last year, in September of last year, when Merritt Bank, Huntington Bank,
These are unrelated issues.
unrelated?
These two are unrelated issues, yes.
Well, I tell you, it was unrelated. Maybe that's why it wasn't reported to the council or the redevelopment authority. Well, our mayor was coming to ask for another $500,000 to you folks.
We reported this through our proper channels
And what are the proper channels?
to all stakeholders.
Stakeholders, including the city of Green Bay.
That's correct.
And so you don't know why the staff and the mayor of the city of Green Bay never informed us about it.
I don't know.
Gee, I find that very interesting. As far as the subcontractors, Mr. Renda, you are a subcontractor also, is that correct or not?
I'm the general contractor.
Do you have some of your own companies working on the job?
We have our own self-performed people, correct?
And-
But every general does.
Did you pay those companies that you also own? Did you pay them and not the others?
No, we're owed just as much as all the other subs are owed. So we want to get paid just as bad as everybody else does.
I guess I'd like to know how you became the owner. I mean, is that a real big mystery?
I think it's a closed session mystery. I'm happy to tell you guys. I think we talked about that 2 weeks ago, but we're happy to tell you how.
Of course, we're the last to know, right, Your Honor?
I got one more question.
Go ahead.
Well, let's see if there's anybody else that has.
Right, I know, you're
Yeah.
right, right.
Mr. Handa, I really appreciate you being here, but Huntington they wrote up a forbearance agreement. And they asked you a couple times for a budget, bring your budget forward, and according to them, that wasn't done. But the forbearance agreement, why wouldn't you sign that forbearance agreement? That would have kept this project going.
I've never signed a forbearance agreement in my entire life. I've
But
never
this would've
defaulted
kept
on anything, and I don't intend to now. For me to sign something that is not 100% correct, I would never do it, and I won't do it. And that's why I won't.
It would have kept this lender, this borrower, he would have stayed.
You don't know that.
You
We
don't
don't know that.
Well, why would he sign a forbearance agreement? They wouldn't do that for, I mean, if I was a bank and there was trouble out there and they said, hey, listen, we'll sign a forbearance agreement and here it is, we'll keep this project going, we'll stay. I can't imagine anybody walking away from that, but you say you don't do that, but that would have kept this project alive. They'd still be here.
You don't know that.
No.
Let's see if there's any other speakers.
Does anybody else want to speak to this item, or do you want to go into, we can go into closed session if you want. What are your
The
wishes?
question of ownership was asked and answered last month in closed session. So we have nothing more to add. It was asked and answered.
Yeah. Yeah. The other junior lenders see you as, if that's being contested, I don't, on what grounds, I don't know, but the other junior lenders,
Can I ask them another question?
yeah, I just want to say, the other junior lenders, and we have conference calls every week, Keith is on there as the owner, and we ask him a lot of tough questions, so, the previous owner or the other guy in the partnership hasn't been on the phone for months. Okay, go ahead, Alderman Dwayne.
Oh, I forgot. No, the subcontractors, I know there is only one lawsuit filed against you, and you already said that there's no case in that. I mean, you said that last time. But has any other subcontractors recently filed?
Lawsuits?
Yeah, to get their money. No subcontractors came forward yet to put a lien or anything. None whatsoever.
Keith talks to the subcontractors on an almost daily basis. They know that their rights are protected.
These are your subcontractors as much as mine. These are Green Bay
No, I understand that.
people. They are vested into this hotel and to this project. And they love it almost as much as I do. So I don't know what more to say about that, other than that we all want to get back to work.
Yeah, I guess we gotta go into closed session.
All right, hang on, Alderman Wery.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you. I did have one question. It was regarding I think the last disbursement back on maybe December 31st or thereabouts. I think you had requested the mayor to release some money. I believe it was $355,000. Do you know offhand, or could you get us, or do you have it right now, a breakdown of those expenses? Of who was paid with then?
Submitted to the title.
Yeah, so the title company is the firm that distributes those funds. So when the funds are approved by all of the lenders within the intercreditor agreement, it then goes to the title company, and the title company distributes those funds. And all of the junior lenders are privy to those distributions.
So that's something we would have internally? We're a junior lender, and we can be provided with that?
Okay,
Okay, yeah, if we could get that, that'd be great. Thank you.
all right. Anyone else want to speak to this item? Go ahead. He's got to stop talking.
I'm Janet Angus, 1403 Shirley Street, Green Bay. I've been trying to follow this complicated event, all the events involved. It's really hard when you're not part of closed sessions, you're not part of contracts, you're not part of being able to see half the agreements. And, you know, I think you as the council have a duty to the taxpayers of Green Bay to do a better job than what you're doing. Now, when I went down to the Recorder of Deeds office, because I can look at those documents, they're public, they're open, I came out that the borrower is the Hotel Northland LLC, which I think is Horrenda in France. Didn't find anything other than that with the Recorder's office. So I think Horrenda probably owns half, and France owns half. Just my opinion. Don't know if that's true or not because I don't have all the documents, but that's what I think probably is the truth behind it. The first lender that's located there is First Merit Bank for $12.8 million. They're no longer here. Second lender is the WIS EB5 Regional Center. I think they're out, which means the third lender is the Conservancy Investment. I don't know if they're in or not, but the fourth lender is the City of Green Bay for $4.7 million. So we're there. And from what I've been told from people that know a lot more than I do regarding this deal, the city holds a subordinate mortgage. They're the main lender right now as far as I think the junior lenders go. But I could be wrong on that because you know what? It's hard to follow this deal because it's not public. It's hard to follow because you go behind closed doors. Also, I don't think they're married, but you might want to ask them. I think she's the girlfriend. Not that it really has anything to do with it, but could be another misrepresentation. I think, Mr. Scannell, that the city council really needs to look at who's in default here. And ultimately, they're in default. I've looked at this letter dated, what, November 3rd, 2016, the letter that wasn't shared with you. And in that letter, it says the first reason for default is in default because of moving funds outside disbursement agreement. And I think our mayor was involved in that. The second default event was the circumvention of disbursement agreement. And it's noted in that letter. And I think, Mr. Mayor, you were involved in that also, if I remember correctly. The third thing is maintaining another bank account that should not even exist. And I think that was a BMO Harris bank account. Not a Huntington bank account, but a BMO Harris bank account that was, I think, managed by Mr. Horrenda. And you know what? You don't know what money's going in and out of that because you don't have access to it. I definitely don't have access to it. And then the last default was a material change in management. And that they're really in default of because I think that says, give me a minute here, it says that as a result of let's see, the loan agreement, they're in default as a result of the discharge of Dennis Doucette and Steve France, collectively messengers Doucette and France, from the Hotel Northland's management team, the material change in management default. So I don't know if you go over all your past agreements with these people, bottom line is I think they're in default. And I think for the project to go ahead, from what I can tell, is you've got to do something drastically different. I don't think that these people are the developers you want on this project, from the documents I've read. I mean, there's $20 million involved in the project right now, and where's the money? I haven't seen it. Maybe our city attorney can tell us how we can get copies of all those records that they're supposed to look at every week. You know, the financial records and the financial data regarding this matter. I just don't think it's been made public. Not enough so that I can understand it. Then there's the $500,000 bridge loan that was requested that wasn't a bridge loan. Mr. France sat in front of you, I think, at one of the meetings and said that that was really a way for him to be bought out of his part of the ownership. And since that hasn't happened, I would imagine he's still part owner. So I would implore you not to go into closed session and to talk about this out in the public so that, you know what, people like me, news media, can find out exactly what's happening. And maybe we can shed some light on this and figure out in open session what to do with taxpayer money. Thank you for your consideration and your time.
How come that screen's so dark? That people are actually clapping? Anyone else want to speak to this item? Anybody else? Anybody else? Okay. To open the floor, is the Alderman Weary?
Mayor, I got a question.
Okay.
I don't know the gentleman's name, but he's to the right here.
Hmm?
Dennis Doucette.
Randy, are you involved with this project?
Saddens me that I'm referring to the guy with gray hair.
That gentleman right there, I got a question for him, if you could come to the podium.
That was the manager. That was the management team.
Is he the manager?
Not anymore.
It's salt and pepper hair, not completely gray.
Okay. Just, question I have is Franz part owner of this project?
I'm not directly associated with Mike Frantz, but my understanding is that he is still 50% owner and he has not consummated that buyout. That's my understanding. But Mike Frantz would have to answer that on his own.
Pardon?
Mike Frantz would have to confirm that on his own.
Right, okay, thank you.
I have a question. You spoke to us once before, and you were the half of the management team that was going to manage the
Yes, sir.
hotel after construction?
I'm the one that wrote the business plan and did the development budget.
Would you tell us for public consumption what your background and whether you have an opinion about whether your management team had something to do with getting the senior lender on board?
We were allowed to go forward with the loan without a flag because of our involvement. And when I say our involvement, I mean my involvement and Steve Frantz's involvement. I was with Seaway Hotels for 32 years. I've opened 5 hotels. I opened the Biltmore in Miami in 1992. I managed it for 20 years afterwards. I managed 540 employees. I was a governor's appointee to the Florida Tourism Commission and Visit Florida. My background was instrumental, I believe, in getting the loan without a flag. We were told that directly by the lender. Steve Frantz spent 27 years with Benchmark Hospitality as a sales executive, and we made a good team. Steve is the sales side, and I'm the operations side. And per our understanding, the reason that they went forward with the senior debt was because we were going to be tied to the property long-term to develop and manage. And when the business model changed dramatically, we raised concerns. I brought those concerns to the mayor. He ignored them. And
Can I interrupt you? What changes? Can you be more specific on the changes?
change in scope of the development.
Please.
Specific removal of a kitchen for a restaurant that's supposed to be producing maximum revenue. Removal of the spa. An alteration to the suite categories. There's a lot. It was significant. And it was a revised model that we could not support.
And reasons for the change? Was there any type of reasons or explanation?
The contractor, Mr. Herenda, was calling all the shots, and he gave us no explanation. As a matter of fact, immediately after closing, he announced at that time, after signing for the $40 million loan, that he was not intending to do the entire project.
Can you repeat that again? I couldn't hear.
Immediately after closing, in December, he announced to our development team that he had no intention of doing the entire project. Now, I'm sure that he'll get up here and refute that. I have email documentation that illustrates that. I can't share it with you in public session, but my attorney has it.
Okay.
And folks, I am not campaigning to be re-engaged at the Northland. Please understand that. I am available to the city if I'm needed, but my primary purpose is to make sure that the people that Legendary Hotels, my company, brought into the project are made whole. They were all not paid, and Mr. Herenda has refused to pay them. And frankly, with all due respect, there are legal issues tied to this matter, and I would prefer not to make any more statements beyond the closed session at this time. Thank you.
All right. Anybody else want to comment on this project? Anybody else? Anybody else? All right. Alderman Weir, I think you had the floor. Yes, no? No, who had the floor? Who opened that up? Oh, Alderman Scannell.
I opened it up.
No, it was, no, it was just mentioned that someone, there's speakers here, so there's a motion and a second. I
That's
believe
called
I had
opening the floor.
So, yeah, so,
Okay, so I want a motion to return to regular order.
so move.
Alderman Joe Moore, second by Alderman Scannell. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And those opposed, nay. Ayes have it. All right, Alderman Dwayne.
Well, I believe we gotta go into closed session to be able to get the answers that we wanted to. So make a motion to go into closed session. Yeah, I don't got my glasses, so if you wanna read it, Mark.
With regard to these requests, the council may convene in closed session pursuant to section 1985, subparagraph 1, subparagraph S, statute, for purposes of considering financial data of specific persons which, if discussed in public, would be likely to have a substantial adverse effect on the reputation of any person referred to in such data. The council may thereafter reconvene in open session pursuant to section 19.85, subparagraph 2 of the Wisconsin statute, to report the results of the closed session and consider.
So this is the vote to go into closed session. Okay, that's 8 votes, so we'll go into closed session. Chief, you stuck around. Tom, hey, Tom, Slottick. Tom. We're just gonna make a motion to hold this, to receive and place on file. Do you know what direction we're gonna go?
To hold it, put that we're holding it for the more time, that whatever. Yeah.
Okay. Why is this screen so, like?
I wrote down the time, so Mike can look at it.
Mary, you got a bunch of mics on, like mine's still.
What's that?
Mics are still on.
All right. I'll entertain a motion now to return to open session by Alderman Scannell, second by Alderperson Dorff. All in favor of that motion, please signify by saying aye. And those opposed, nay. So what are your wishes regarding the committee of the whole? Alderman Slottick?
Mr. Mayor, I move that we hold on this matter for 45 days unless there's a development before that staff wants to bring to us.
All right. So we have a motion by Alderman Slottick, second by Alderperson Dorff, to hold on these items for 45 days unless something significant happens, which will immediately inform the council. With that, all in favor of that motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And those opposed, nay. Ayes have it. Entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
By Alderman Scannell, second by Alderman Weary. All in favor of adjournment, please signify by saying aye. And those opposed, nay. Ayes have it. We're adjourned. Okay, this screen, yeah, something's wrong with that.